You are listening to the 2.5 Weebs podcast, a show where two veteran anime fans drag a newbie down the rabbit hole of waifus, isekai, and fan service, as well as the happenings in the gaming world. The show is recorded every Sunday live on the Mixer channels of Comfimus and Mr. Vengeance. Enjoy.
Okay, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 2.5 Weebs. Hello, joined with Comfy and Copper as always. How are you guys today?
I am as always.
You are as always.
I am as always.
Got it.
As such is so.
Gotcha.
Sounds good, Comfy.
Peachy. How's Copper?
I'm good.
Good.
I have a recommendation for a show.
Oh, wait.
Man.
Already?
Oh man.
Oh, no.
Is it the one that we talked about?
It is, Comfy.
Is it what you and Shark
yeah.
were talking about earlier and wouldn't tell me about? I'm scared.
Yes.
No, I'm
Don't
terrified.
worry. If he denies it, I have another suggestion.
Oh no.
It's not new this season, but it's I'll be relating it to something this season to make it relevant. So
Well, one of the reasons I'd love to review the show either just as the one episode thing or going through the season because that would be fucking hilarious. Is that the show in question stars three people who review things.
yeah.
And one of them is super reluctant as a reviewer, and so that fits Dale so well. And so I was looking at this like, oh look, here's me and Comfy, and like, oh, here's the guy who doesn't want to review shit. It's Dale.
Son of a bitch.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah,
Dale, me and
yeah.
Copper. I talked to him about this yesterday, 2 days ago.
Oh,
Yes.
shit. So you guys are
I
plotting
watched the
against
first
me.
episode
Okay.
as well.
That's
Well,
rude.
so I have some other avenues that I try to learn some anime news on, so I can come here and bring you guys some information. You know.
And then there's me
Yes.
who looks at nothing at all about anime whatsoever, and then just like, hey,
And then just emotes on me while I'm slaying gyros. Yeah.
yes,
But so yeah, I talked to Copper about it. I was like, Copper, I think this would be like a really good meme to drop on him. And I think it'd be really fun anyways, like because the concept of the show just actually sounds hilarious, and the clips I've seen.
okay,
Having watched the first episode, the show is actually quite funny.
okay. I like
that's-
funny shit.
Like I was expecting. So the concept of this show, we're like tiptoeing around this. We'll get back to it later.
Yeah,
Like-
we'll go back in this later. Let's
Yeah, for
go
sure.
with
It's something you might actually like. Like we're not trying to
Okay.
piss you off,
yes.
but
Okay, so let's go into the show that I'm pretty sure me and Comfy hated. Well, I know I did. So
oh yeah, man.
Spoiler
So
alert.
Did you hate it too?
So I didn't like it.
Okay, I think I might realize on a second watch why you guys hate it.
Go
so
ahead,
just
and then
as a-
I'll explain my reasoning.
Yeah,
Just as a quick aside, we are now talking about the show we reviewed for
Yes,
this episode.
We're talking about Aggretsuko. It is a Netflix anime.
yes, it is. It is not made.
it's-
Is it made? I don't know if it's made by Netflix, but Netflix has
None of them
picked
are
it up.
made
No,
by Netflix,
no,
but they're all
so-
published by Netflix.
So Netflix
Yeah,
has
so the way
took it and
a
published
Netflix
it from
show
Japan.
works
From Japan.
is that Netflix buys the rights to
Distributing rights.
distribution for places
Publishing
outside
rights.
of Japan. Yeah, so
For anime, they get studios that already exist that are already making stuff, and then they say, "Hey, you're making this already, but instead of Funimation getting the distributing rights, or Crunchyroll getting the distributing rights, or Amazon getting the distributing rights, we're gonna get them."
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that Amazon and the other companies have been doing. So Amazon had Wit make them Vinland Saga, and previously they've been making Attack on Titan, which is also getting another season like next season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's going to be on Crunchyroll because it's all individual contracts and stuff. So
this is a
And I
really
can-
old thing because
I can so rant about how Netflix is ruining anime too.
Uh oh.
Did you know that Netflix buys almost all of the Fate rights?
No, I didn't know that.
yeah,
See,
they
this
do.
is why these two are here, and I'm just here to be like, you're
No,
all
so-
terrible.
Quick rant before we get into Aggretsuko. Netflix buys the rights for anime, and they release differently depending on what region you're in, because that's how you should do things. But the way they release in Japan is normal, so it's week to week. Like the week that the show would be released on TV, it's released on Netflix and people can watch it, kind of like The Mandalorian was.
Right.
Yeah, episodic, basically weekly.
The way they do it in the US is they do binge watching.
Mhm.
But that means that you need to wait for it to all be out And then
Before you-
even then,
yeah.
they need to wait an extra 2 months for localization, and they don't do it simultaneously. So, for example, there was a Fate series that was on Netflix, Fate Apocrypha, which I was super, super excited about. The entire series had ended in Japan before the first season was available on Netflix in the US. And then when the first season was available, then I had to wait another 3 to 4 months to get the second season, which it was a 25 episode show. So you need all 25 episodes. The first like 12 episodes were like, hey, here you go. Which is, it's fun, but Netflix ruins everything. So Aggretsuko, man, why do you think we disliked it?
I think you disliked it because the main character kind of does really dumb shit.
That's actually not it.
Oh, okay. All right. Copper, why did you hate this show?
We'll go to
Did
Comfy
you- is
first.
that- I mean,
because
is that
have
why you-
multiple reasons I don't like this show?
Okay. All right.
So I think the animation is very cute.
Uh-huh.
I think that the 3 characters that you actually talk to are fine. The rest of everything just makes me mad.
Yeah.
There's not enough comedy in it for me to be excited about it. I don't get enough out of the metal music memes because I don't think the music that they're making with it is actually that good.
I just think it's funny.
I think the concept as a whole is hilarious. That's why I recommended it to you.
Right.
Because I thought you would like it. It is just, it didn't really do anything for me. And I think what really, really killed it for me was I hated the voice acting in it.
I can see that.
Yeah, I don't. That is one of the things I like. I don't like the voices in this show.
I did also try both English and Japanese. Japanese was better, but by a very mild amount.
I didn't even see an option for Japanese on Netflix, at least.
Netflix has options for like Dutch, dude. They go
Does
all
it?
out with localization. It's crazy.
Oh, with like voice acting, even? Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's
Sure.
it's
Makes
super
sense.
good. Like that's the like
It's one of the
Netflix
reasons it
does
takes
pretty good.
longer for Netflix to localize stuff because they do it in multiple languages.
Got it.
well, yeah, it's like if you want to look at a normal timeline for localization, when Netflix releases, they do release with the dub at the
Sure.
same time, usually. When Konosuba released, it took until after the second season was released for the first to have an English dub, and then after that, then they still went back months later and added a Portuguese dub and like a Spanish dub and stuff.
Got it.
Like it takes that long to get all of these things.
Interesting.
So yeah, the voice acting really killed it for me, but I couldn't really get into it. It wasn't something for me.
Yeah. So
I don't acknowledge it as like a bad show by any means. It's just it is not a me thing.
I would say this show definitely has an audience. Dale definitely proves that. But that said, I don't like the characters' voices. I find the show very boring. Not a lot happens, I find.
Yeah.
I mean,
mind you, this is a shorter
15
format
it's a short-
show because
it's-
so that's something to keep in mind as well.
that's why we watched 4
they have
episodes.
less time to do stuff in.
It's 15 minutes an episode, so we
I
watched
don't
4.
like the animation in the show at all.
I was fine with the animation. It was chibi and cute.
I don't like chibi animation.
I
as a
don't
rule.
typically, but
Now, that's not to say the animation in the show is bad. It's not. The animation in the show is actually quite good. It's very well done.
For the style they're going for, they killed it. Like
Yeah.
actually, they did a very
But-
very good job.
That said, I'm not a fan of that style of animation, so it's a direct turn off for me. And if I can't look at something and enjoy it, I can't sit and watch it and enjoy it. Like it's one of the problems I have with older anime as well.
Yeah. Oh, that
Is that-
100% true.
Yeah, so because it's like some older anime I have the same issue with, I can't enjoy physically watching the show because the show looks, in the case of older animes, ugly a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So I can't get into it. So I don't like the voices, I don't like the story, I don't like the animation, I don't like screamo metal music at all. I like metal music, not that style of metal music. It's bad. That music is shit. It's just shit.
Copper's hurting my feelings because he knows I actually listened to it.
Copper can just be a grumpy old man who has bad taste. That's
I
fine.
know that Dale likes that stuff. The girlfriend listens to a little bit of it as well, but I don't like that form of metal music.
Well, then that's fine.
But so this show is like a miss on all cylinders for me.
Yeah, I can see that. Don't worry.
See, Copper's also one of those people that's like, I dislike it, so it's bad because he's a dick.
Yeah, it is bad to me.
It's
To me,
not
this
for
show
him.
is
I
bad.
know. I was no.
It
He
doesn't mean
just,
it's.
I get what
As
you're
I
saying.
said,
I was just making a
I
joke.
preface this with, it doesn't mean this show doesn't have an audience. I can see this show having an audience, as I said.
No, I
Dale
was just
himself
talking about
proves,
how you were like the
but-
music is bad. So it's like, no, it's not. You just don't like it. So
Well, yeah, anything you don't like is considered bad from your point of view. That's subjective.
Okay.
That's how that works.
Wow, we are
yeah,
just learning
but-
so many words today here on 2.5 Weebs.
my
But yeah,
sister will be
so-
proud. She's an English major.
Will this, show have an audience? Sure. I mean that Netflix directly
does-
proves that like it has one already. Like
It's not a small show. Like it has a decent following, and there is a second season that Netflix has produced.
There's like
Yes,
a
there are-
there's
yeah, there are
there's a fucking
2
Christmas
seasons
special too,
on there.
which is meh.
and there's a Christmas special as well.
Yeah, I don't really know if that would be worth watching, honestly.
And they're probably
Yeah.
gonna get a 3rd season, no problem.
No. This show has like way more seasons that are already out in Japan.
It does. But I
does.
mean, Netflix is probably gonna bring over the 3rd season.
Right? Yeah. See, that's what I'm
So,
saying. Like,
uh,
it's probably going to be brought over. I don't
But I
see a
mean, if
reason
they-
why
if-
it wouldn't be.
If they don't, and you wanted to follow, or didn't want to wait, you can definitely find more seasons of this already. No problem. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, short form show. So if you don't mind short form shows, you're looking for cute animation, if that's the thing that you're into, go right ahead. The show features basically a red panda who's an office worker and her trials and tribulations of what goes on in her life.
Yeah,
The
she's
Fennec
just
Fox
like a.
was great, though.
What's that?
The Fennec Fox, she was great. She was the best character.
Oh, the one that's like really fucking bitchy. Yes,
Yeah.
she's amazing. I love her. She's a
She's
fucking
so
psychopath.
great.
Yeah.
She just walks in and sasses everybody and then leaves.
Yeah. So like this show, it like they said, there's a bunch of animals. It's basically replace humans with different animals, and you got it.
Yeah, all the characters are anamorphic animals.
The
Yeah, there's a hippo, there's a dog, there's a Fennec Fox, there's a red panda, which, by the way, red pandas and Fennec Foxes are 2 of the best animals ever. So,
There's-
you're welcome.
There is a hyena who's super friend zoned.
Yep.
wait,
there
he's not a
is-
dog. Is he hyena? I thought he was a dog.
He's a hyena.
That
too.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
It makes sense.
too.
I was
Okay.
wrong. There's not a dog. There's a hyena.
Okay.
The hyenas are dogs. Let's not lie to ourselves.
I mean, sure, they're.
I mean,
they're
they are the canine species.
they're
They are-
dogs that you
yeah,
can't keep as
hyenas are
pets.
hyenas are dogs. Dogs aren't hyenas. We got it.
It's true.
There's the boss. I don't even remember what he is.
He's a pig.
Yeah, he's a pig.
Yeah, and then the thing is,
There's like the tortoise lady or whatever.
mhm.
There's a what is it? A gorilla lady, and what's the other one? The
Oh,
other
some
bitchy
sort of
office
The
lady.
eagle.
Pheasant?
The eagle.
The eagle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, it starts like it's just the main character named Aggretsuko is very upset, and she can become aggressive, hence Aggretsuko as the name of the show.
Which is a great pun.
It's pretty funny. I like it.
Yeah.
Like she's just middle of the road, pushed around office worker, and she blows off steam by singing heavy metal karaoke, and it's hilarious. She like actually carries a little microphone with her into work, and she like screams in the bathroom essentially, and blows off steam. And then she goes to karaoke after work and stuff. It's kind of funny. She does make some really stupid decisions, and like kind of a lot of it is just kind of like, why would you be like this? But the show has like
It's questions my parents would ask me, like, why are you like this? So
I get asked that question by the girlfriend a lot.
that's true.
like
Like
you get asked that question by a lot of people. Don't just shorten it to
Yes.
just
Okay.
her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like-
that is very true. This is the most common question I get asked from everybody. It's like, why are you like this?
Why are you like this? That's true. That's true. But like she gets pushed around a lot at work. She doesn't stand up for herself at all, and then she just kind of like lets people walk all over her, and then
Yeah, she's very much the tip. Like this is definitely set in Japan. She's very much the typical Japanese office worker woman, where she's very submissive, doesn't rock the boat, and then because
Can I get a
she
quick
doesn't like
sidebar really
people
quick?
doing this, she sings because she goes to karaoke to get rid of her aggression.
She like rents a room every single night, like the employees know her, and they're like, "Hey, Retsuko, you want your normal room?"
welcome back.
So, hey, Copper, can I get a quick sidebar really quick?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
First episode.
Okay, got it. That's what I figured, but
Oh no. Oh no, I'm scared. What is being DM'd between these two, chat? I'm gonna.
It's just a picture. It's an image with a lack of context, and that's the only reason why.
Mm-hmm.
I know the actual context now, but
Yeah, it's
Makes
dude,
sense.
hey, sidebar on that sidebar. I love it when you load into Hunt and Monster Hunter and it drops you in a random location, but the monster's actually right behind you.
oh yeah, that's always great.
Yeah. I need to remember to
Alright.
start eating food before I go on adventures because it does that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually why you eat before you leave.
Yeah, I need to remember to.
The only time you can skip eating before you leave is when you're doing like the special arenas,
Sure.
because it always puts you in
Right.
the arena section. So
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
but yeah, I mean,
Yeah, in the first 4 episodes, you don't see a lot of character progression. You don't get introduced to. She ends up becoming spoilers. Like the gorilla and the eagle become main character, very supporting
side characters very
Yeah,
quickly. Yeah,
very-
they become
become
part
very
of the cast pretty quickly.
Yeah, they do.
I could see that was going to happen.
Yes,
I still don't feel like it's really happened, but I can tell that they were building for it at least.
Right. There's
They
even
introduce cast members and
you
more
learn
goes into it, and
backstories of
then-
a lot of the people. Like you learn that the hippo is like kind of actually cool as shit. Like there's like it takes a while and there's like a lot of character development, but
It's a slice of life anime.
yeah,
Like
yeah, it's a slice
you-
of life office anime. That's what it is.
that's it. It's exactly what it is, and it has its own special quirks to make it unique, which it definitely does make it unique. But it's like, if you're gonna like that, you will. If you don't like it, you won't. I actually have another office slice of life anime that I do really want to recommend, but we're not gonna do that this week. But it's one that I think will be really interesting for everyone, especially Copper. But I think he might have already seen it as well, anyways.
I may have. I watch a lot of shows.
Well, I've also talked about it before, so
Yeah, so this show, I mean, we can't really go too much in this show just because of the fact that, well, they're short episodes, so
it's short for. They don't really progress a lot of story in it. It's very much one-offs. Like, hey, life happens. This is the problem for this episode. Problem resolved or not resolved, and we're done.
Mhm.
There's not really a continuous storyline I've really noticed as of right now.
no. Now, that said, season 2, if you're looking for something that, you know, is more progressive story-wise, does change that formula a bit. There is a running storyline through season 2. I know about this show quite extensively because even though I don't like the show, the girlfriend loves this show. It's one of her favorite shows.
Like it's just
So
a
I know
good
season
show.
2 has a
I like it.
progressive ongoing story where things develop a lot more. Season 1 is basically, here's our character, here's what the world is, here's the cast, here's the stuff that kind of goes on episodically, kind of gets you into it. So if you like the show, you'll like the show going forward into other seasons. But it depends. Like if you don't mind short form anime, you don't mind chibi, and you like comedy slice of life, this show might be for you. So if you like those things or don't mind those things, such as short form, because I know it's more of a don't mind rather than like,
Right.
give the show a shot. I mean, especially if you've got Netflix, you got nothing to
It's
lose.
free.
Right? It's
It's
free.
free.
And
It's short, and you can.
It's
I mean,
like,
This
you
is
can-
the first episode decision for me. I'll be honest. Like this is a show that if you watch the first episode, you're gonna get the tonality of the first season pretty accurately.
sure.
it's basically spend 10 minutes and you'll find out from the first episode. You will know from the first episode whether this show is for you or not. 100%.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. So
No. It's not all that common from anime either, which is why we watch the first 3 episodes, because sometimes it
Yes.
takes a couple episodes to hook you.
Mhm.
But this show is definitely, if you've seen the first episode, you will know if this show is for you. And you'll know if you like the show.
So, so Copper, apparently, did you know that some anime studios are figuring out the 3-episode rule?
Are they really?
And they're
I'm
designing
not surprised.
storyboards for their episodes so that they hook people in the first 3, and then it'll slow down a bit and pick up for the last like 5.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good pacing for
It's also good
any
storytelling.
show, right?
Yeah.
It's especially when for most animes you've got 12 to 13 episodes. That's your season, right? It might be your whole show. So
Yeah.
you kind of have to pace things out well enough so that you hook people deeply in the first 3 and then, finish satisfactory in the last 5.
And also, apparently, Dr. Stone, which everyone has been ranting about, I watched the first 3 episodes and really, really didn't like it. And apparently, go ahead.
I watched the first episode of that and never went back to the second.
Apparently, after the 6th episode, it becomes amazing.
Really?
But it's the
that
6th
is
episode.
So far. Now, that is a longer show from what I remember. I think they're...
Well,
they're
it's first of all, they've already gone through 2 full anime seasons producing it. And then they have another season already announced, and they're planning on going further. They're going to be making it a long-running series.
So if it's a long-running series, such as things like Naruto, Bleach, One Piece, Black Clover, and apparently Dr. Stone, I can see giving them 6 episodes there. Same thing like Dragon Ball. That said, for storytelling reasons, you should be hooked within the first 3 episodes, regardless of how long format the show is.
Well, the first episode should have a hook. The second episode should start to reel it back a bit to give you a sense of the world, and then the third episode should reel you into the actual story.
Yes.
There you go.
There should be a hook, a payoff for the hook on the second episode, and then the third one should give you a sense of the story, leaving you off on an interesting beat or a question mark that you want to have answered so you come back for the rest of the show.
Exactly.
But, waiting 6 episodes though, oof, that's a hard sell.
Guys, that's like watching an entire movie to figure out that you want to watch a movie.
Yeah, that's a 2-hour movie. It's a 2-hour movie to figure out if you want to keep watching a movie. That's like oof.
Yeah, but hey, man, you never know.
I mean, giving a show an hour is okay because a lot of shows you watch nowadays on things like Netflix and that tend to be it's
an hour
where they're binge watches. The first episode is usually an hour long, so it's the same thing as giving a show the first hour, right? Like, I'm okay with that.
It's like that's like watching your first episode of Mandalorian or Witcher.
Yeah, like you'll know if the show's for you probably within the first episode, maybe 2. Unless you're that one reviewer who watched episode 1, then skipped to 5, and then complained about what's going on.
Dude, man, we still haven't talked about The Witcher yet, have we?
We haven't talked about it. We were going to do our whole Star Wars.
We haven't talked about The Witcher. We haven't talked about The Mandalorian end. We haven't talked about Star Wars, the last.
I think we
can do some cuts at the end of this one.
Yeah, we're planning on doing the Mandalorian and Star Wars shit.
Few things to cover here.
This is going to end up being like a 2-hour episode, isn't it?
It's going to be a long.
It probably
episode.
will. I just might. So the ending will be the Star Wars spoiler cast.
There's a lot of good stuff to cover. So
yeah.
For me, Aggretsuko is a pass.
And we haven't even started. We haven't even started on the video game rants that we're gonna go on because of this past week.
Are we? Okay.
But yeah, so we have Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter.
So me, Aggretsuko is a pass, but definitely has an audience. So if you like chibi, like comedy, give it 10 minutes, figure it out if you like it. That's all it takes. Like, this is a really easy recommend, try it yourself show.
Yeah.
I'm very much on the same page as Copper here, where this was not a show for me, but I was the person who told Dale to watch this show, and he loves it. So
yeah, I know this show has an audience. I know people.
I'm not
It's
anti this show.
I think I like it.
This is just not a me show.
The short episodes are nice because I don't have a lot of time to watch shit, so I could feel like I watched the whole season, but the whole season's like half a season of a normal show. But I watched the whole season. Leave me alone.
That was actually I did that with Space Patrol Lulico because that's a 10-second show or a 10-minute show, sorry.
Yeah.
But it's made by the people who made like Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill, and
Kill la Kill's the same people that made Gurren Lagann, right?
Show for 10 minutes and then ended it. It was amazing. Never forget.
So
we have a new trigger show next season.
We have another anime to talk about.
Yes, the season finale of Vinland.
So,
which I really liked up until the very fucking end.
Yeah. I actually liked it.
I
liked it.
No, like I
Now,
was actually
I
good up
liked
until
it
the
because
very,
it wasn't
very,
what I
very
wanted.
ending.
we
It's
knew
not-
they were gonna end it in a way that was gonna be iffy for people. We knew that. We knew that going in.
Yeah.
I don't dislike
So-
what they did though at all, really. Like
I
I don't.
think they did it. I heard a lot of really not happy things from people. And I didn't actually watch the episode until last night because I wanted to make sure I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I would have watched it 2 weeks ago. And I honestly, I think they did. I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was great. I thought they did a very good job.
So this is the one episode I don't want to go super hard into because I want people to watch this for themselves and make up their own mind. But I think they did the best here that they could.
You don't want to like
Yes.
talk about the whole episode.
Not super in depth. I want people to.
Well, so here's the thing.
Episodes
we-
like this are.
I get that, but it's also been 2 weeks.
I
Like
know.
we've covered the whole.
Yeah, we can talk. It has been a couple weeks.
We've
can go
been
into it.
covering the
So
whole thing.
I wanted people to make up their own mind. Like an episode like this is kind of
This
like
is
episode. This is
Hey,
like
if you're listening now you should go watch the final episode of Vinland Saga and not let us spoil it for you. But if you have already
Yeah.
seen it, then we will continue.
I mean,
the thing with episodes
I
like
feel
this
like
is that
we've
they're
been
very.
covering the whole episode or the whole series,
They're very-
season episode by episode.
Yeah,
just
I know.
not
It's
do the final
this is
episode.
very
seems
episodes like this are very polarizing though. That's the thing.
I
Right?
know.
Like some people hate them, and then like Steph's, for example,
Such is
I know
life,
did not
man.
like this at all.
He did not like this episode. There was a solid week of
Steph hated
Sam
this.
talking to me and saying, "Have you watched it yet?"
Yeah,
I'm
he was
mad.
not happy. So yeah, that's going to be one reaction people are going to have here, and then you're going to have the other reaction, which is like, yeah, okay, I get it. They did a good job. They did as much as they could, and then you're also going to have the people who are like, I loved it right up to the end. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I-
it is what it is. Like I get why, because they really weren't sure. Like, are we getting another season? Is it going to be another 25 episodes or 24 episodes?
I
And
think
if not, what do we do? Like, do we just
I'm-
leave it hanging off, like, or wrap things up as much as we can? Like,
yeah,
and they chose to do the wrap up thing, which is okay.
I don't mind
Mhm.
how it got wrapped up story wise, really. But then
I
okay,
s-
so basically
I
what
still haven't gone and checked the manga compared to the show though to see what was actually
okay.
different.
I haven't either.
I do
Spoiler
know
for those who have read the manga, the show, at least
It's
this season
slightly
of it,
different, allegedly.
Yeah. apparently it changes stuff, but because we don't have the background of the manga, we don't know how. But apparently it is different from the manga, and that's on
Mhm.
purpose from the actual writer. He did that on purpose. It's not a studio edit; it's the writer's edit.
Yes. Because he said he wanted like more continuity or something. He just wanted it. He
Yeah.
felt like he had a way to make the ending work better. So
Yeah.
I'll allow it. Go for
Yeah.
it, champ. You do you.
I mean, it's not the studio; it's the actual writer, and he's like, "Hey, let's do this, given the constraints of how the shows work, and we might not get another season." I'm okay with that. Like, it's not the studio screwing stuff up, like say, Full Metal Alchemist, where they just added a bunch of shit. Like,
Or a Comic a Kill where they just added a bunch of shit.
yeah. So this is a little better than your standard.
It's better than the alternative.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. The alternative could have been a lot worse.
This is a very clean way to end it. Like, can we still get a second season? Yeah. Good. Will we? Who knows?
I feel
But-
like did you see the name of the episode?
Yeah.
The
like,
end of a
it's-
pro-
we-
the
we
end- the
should be
end of
getting
a-
second season.
End of a prologue. So like
End of the prologue, right?
something
Yeah,
along those
given
lines.
the name, the name is very like okay.
It's
we've been-
reasonable to assume that we would be getting
Yeah.
more.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they would put that in if they hadn't had some inclination that we are getting another season
Right.
or two.
I feel like that is kind of heavily that is probably pointing towards yes, we will be getting another season.
Plus, given how well this show has been reviewed,
Yeah.
I
I mean it's
would be
great.
super surprised.
So
But
This show has been very well reviewed.
it also wouldn't be the first time where you have a show that's been super well reviewed that has not gone forward.
it's true.
Because of-
Yeah, no, that's the worst.
So-
A show that you really, really like
well, it also comes down for a lot of things for a lot of these studios. It comes down to sales. right? Like, and not of the anime, it's sales of the books that
Manga.
they're taxed from. Yeah, the light
But-
novels or the manga. So which we've
And
done over
in
before.
Japan, they make anime to sell manga.
yeah, or light novels, because some of the stuff is from light novels. Yeah.
Yes.
For those who are wondering what the fuck a light novel is, basically think of a easy to read novel that has a bunch of pictures in it.
It's a shorter book that has just like some pictures.
So
Not like a whole lot, but you got some.
Right.
yeah, there's usually like 2 every chapter or so. So there's a good number of pictures depending on the book you're reading. Some have more, some have less. But they're not super long. Like they're very
they're
short.
intentionally pretty
They're
short.
short. They're
They're
short
about
and
the length
episodic.
of they're about the length of an actual like 5 comics.
yeah.
Like
they're very
manga will be sold in like a book that has a bunch of different editions with it. A light novel has about the same level of content. Not super thick, but they're not super light.
and she's not like, here's a not like light novel, it's done. It's usually like, here's 10 and that's the whole story.
Yeah.
Like, so they release a bunch of them. And it's episodic releases. So they come out a lot faster than a normal novel series would. So you might like get one every few months or so. Then they have the whole thing.
Also, content in Japan is also kind of pushed out really, really, really fast.
Yep.
Regardless of what it is, a lot of manga is week to week, which is oh man, that's a lot. Like,
so me and Comfy have, because we have an art background, we understand this a good bit, but in North America for comics, for those who aren't aware, most comics take between 30 to 60 days to do. So you get them every month, right? But usually they're making them beforehand, so they have longer time to run on them.
Mhm.
You're looking at something that is taking a fraction of the time to create, and they're just as long and complicated. It's insane the production like speed these guys have to put stuff out at.
yeah, like One Piece is still week to week.
Yeah.
The guy who's been making One Piece has been making a manga for One Piece every single week for like the past 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
20 I want to say 20, 30 years.
And some of these guys
ridiculous.
have more than one book they work on.
Yeah.
Like there's
and that's
people
just
who
it's
make 3 or
because
4, and it's the same schedule. Like, can you imagine trying to write 3 to 4 comics every week, like, and draw them? Like, that's insane. The amount of work. Like,
so I just really quickly breaking the fourth wall. I'm hunting a Rathian, and my scout fly stopped, and I was looking around like what's going on, and then I just looked straight up, and
it's just up above you.
It's descending on top of me, and I thought it was very funny.
It's like, what do you mean? Why did you stop?
Why are my scout flies in the middle of a river? There's nothing here. But yeah, so that's been crazy. But then the alternative is you have authors, because in Japan you have 2 basically authors. You have people who are weekly, and like the One Piece guy and the Naruto guy that are just pumping stuff out forever and never stopping. And then you have Araki, who's over here still taking too long to write part 8 of JoJo. Hey,
he was basically the Patrick Rothfuss of Japan. For those who don't know, Patrick Rothfuss is a writer in North America who's extremely famous in fantasy writing circles. He has produced 3 books, 2 of which are in his main series, which is the only series he's ever written, and 1 is a side book from the same universe. He hasn't finished the 3rd book yet to be published. Part of that is because he went through a divorce and then asked to do a bit of a rewrite. His bit of a rewrite added enough words to make another novel. And he still hasn't produced the 3rd novel, and people want to kill him.
Yeah. That's it's a good time.
It's been years. Like, it's not like, oh, it's been a year or 2. It's been like 5 to 6 years.
Do you, by any chance, Copper, do you know how long part 8 of JoJo has been running in the manga?
No, not offhand.
I know you're not a fan. I was just curious if you might know. It's been running for a long time, apparently, and they don't even know who the villain is yet.
God damn it.
Like it's that bad. To be fair, they also don't usually reveal the villain until very near the end. But
it was me,
people also have
Dio.
no idea what's going on. So
Did I do the meme right, Comfy? It was me, Dio.
What?
It was me, Dio. Is that the right shit? I don't know. Never mind. Okay. I saw memes on the internet and it's like, but it was me, Dio, and I thought it was a JoJo
Dio's
thing.
the original villain.
Right, yeah, but I still thought there was a never mind, ignore me. I don't know my memes. Sorry.
Well, see, the funny and weird thing is the enemy in this one might be Dio because it's an alternate universe.
God damn it, of course.
Don't worry, we can go weirder. This is only JoJo's.
Okay. But
so,
yeah, back on the subject of like this episode of Vinland.
Yes.
The show that we were talking about before we got sidetracked.
Welcome to the We Always Get Sidetracked podcast, though. It's
Oh,
That's what
Drake,
makes it fun.
it's pub.
Drake,
No,
I have a show
you're
for you
fine.
as well.
It's fine. It's par for
I
the
have a show
course.
for
It
you.
happens.
So Drake has to stick around for our recommendations for shows because I have something to show you, Drake.
Oh no. So in this episode of Vinland, the king sets in the last episode before this, it's Askeladd has been told that Wales is going to be invaded. He's from Wales. He doesn't like that. And then in this episode, the king sets him down and goes, "I take this silver. You did good protecting my son, yada yada yada." He very much is just kind of pretending. He does give him the silver, and Askeladd then like he's kind of trying to figure out what to do. And the king tells him, "My son or Wales? You can't have both."
I loved that moment.
Yes.
Because the king is like talking to him and clearly intentionally stressing him out. And he's having this internal monologue, like, what is going on? How do I deal with this? What's my next move? And the king just grabs him and pulls him real close and whispers in his ear, "You can have the prince or you can have Wales. I won't let you have both of them." I just thought that was such a good, like, peel back the curtain. Like, I'm winning this fight right now. You don't win this.
Right.
Which then, of course, words are not as strong as steel.
Right.
And
so,
Askeladd draws his sword.
Which is kind of surprising to a lot of people. Also, in the meantime, Thorfinn has told Leif Erikson that he's going to be leaving with him. So
Yes.
Leif Erikson and
that was so
Thorfinn
cute.
are going towards his ship. And all of a sudden, Leif is on the ship with Thorfinn. He goes to offer him food, turns his back to get into the bucket of, like, you know, where you carry food in a Viking ship. Turns around, Thorfinn's gone. So Thorfinn arrives outside of this meeting. They're having a feast. They're having a big feast, and that is where the king is handing out gifts to his soldiers, and that's where he and Askeladd have this confrontation. And Thorfinn looks in a window, and he's watching this happen as Askeladd draws his sword, and is basically like, "I'm the rightful king, because my
I
son."
am Lucius Artorius Calum.
Is that what his name was?
Yes, and I only remember that because the main character in Final Fantasy 15 is Noctis Lucius Calum.
Nerd.
Suppose that's a reason to remember. Yeah.
It's a good. It's literally two out of three. All right, we're
Nerd.
2 for 3 on his name. But basically, he says, "I'm the rightful king of Wales. You're not going to screw this up for me."
Right, and proceeds to just, you know,
And he just starts ripping people apart. Like,
after he
goes hard.
decapitates the king.
Yeah.
Decapitates the king, and then just starts murdering all of his people the entire time, intentionally making himself sound like he's a kind of gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
He absolutely did go cuckoo for Cocoa
No,
Puffs.
it was fake.
I know that's
Okay, gotcha.
Let's play along.
Wow, I really thought he was just kind of like, he kind of just out of nowhere snapped and lost his fucking mind. He had his spoilers. Yes, Strike, it's spoilers. Yes.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So Thorkel starts like freaking out a bit, and he's like, "Okay, well, we need to stop him and figure stuff out." And the prince is like, "No, He's doing this on purpose. He's giving us a chance by acting like a goddamn looney. So we need to let him act like a lunatic,
and then
we're
eventually
gonna need to take our opportunity.
God, what is the prince's name? I forget for some reason. Canute talks to Thorfinn. He's like, Thorkel, let him kill a few, and then I'll let you deal with it. And he goes, no, you're gonna have to deal with it yourself.
Yeah,
because
Thorkel was originally really mad because King Sweyn was his bounty.
Yeah, he wanted to kill him.
And he was like, I want to be the one to kill King Sweyn. And didn't get the opportunity. So he was a little bit pissed.
It happened.
But he decided that he will survive. He's going to make the prince do the work, though, because he's not going to fix his problems.
Well, it also comes down to the fact where okay, so Askeladd's plan was to make himself completely look just like a lunatic. Just completely distancing himself from Canute. People wanted him to think he kind of was like delusional about he's the rightful king, yada yada, loses his fucking mind. And then what ends up happening is he kills, God, how many people? He kills a bunch of the king's men. And then
it looks like when you're playing Red Dead Redemption and you get in like an alleyway where the police don't despawn after you kill them and you keep killing them while they're respawning and coming in. And there's just like a pile of bodies that they have to keep crawling over to. It's like Russia in World War I, you know?
We can't even, I've been there at least 8 times playing Grand Theft Auto, and that's an understatement. Stuff like that. It's just, yes, he kills so many people. And then all of a sudden,
a lot of people.
And then
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, all of a sudden Canute is like, oh, okay, you're dead. He like stabs him, and even as Askeladd's like, oh hey, that's your first time you stab somebody, huh? Good job. And then he starts bleeding out. And of course, Canute being the one to kill Askeladd is like, hey, I'm the king now. The entire time Thorfinn has what I expected the whole time was like, he actually has to watch Askeladd die, and he actually cries. Of course, he's like, because I was supposed to be the one to kill you, but he's like, that's kind of his father, which is kind of weird.
It was really interesting interaction.
Yeah,
because it's completely fueled by, so Thorfinn up to this point has been 100% fueled by his rage and wanting to kill Askeladd.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's just getting this moment of, I don't get what I want. I will never get that. And I have no reason to be here right now. And he just starts freaking out.
Yeah. And
he can never get...
He'll never get that revenge that he so desperately
never gets the revenge he wants, that's been driving him all this time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in addition, as Dale mentioned, this is basically another father figure to him that is, again, dying in front of him, right? So it's...
Yeah.
So Thorfinn does what you would expect him to do, and he kind of tries to kill Canute. For some reason, Canute's like, no, don't kill him. He's fine. And then they just restrain him, yada, yada, yada. He's like, well, seeing as how my brother is God, no, where's his brother? I don't know. I'm the king. I'm the king now. And people are like, yeah, okay.
He's like,
All right.
who do you think's in charge right now? And he just picks up the crown.
I'm king. And then it went to shit because like it was like this montage of like epilogue, and it's like, yikes. Like you see Thorfinn meet up with Leif and they go on a boat somewhere. You see 2 men climbing a mountain who I didn't catch at first. Supposedly that was Thorkel and Canute in the bandana climbing up the snowy mountain. And then like you see on this boat sailing across like a stormy ocean, like this brunette man who looks, I don't know, he's kind of young, stepping out onto a cabin, just looking out over this stormy sea. And it's like, the fuck is this? Who is this guy?
That's supposed to be Thorfinn.
No, it's not supposed to be Thorfinn. Supposedly.
What's it supposed to be?
I don't know.
The new villain.
I don't know. But Saps was saying he watched the preview for like the next season. I guess I don't know where he got this from, but he was like, no, Thorfinn. That's definitely not Thorfinn. So I was like, huh. Interesting.
I hope we get another season.
I hope so too. It's a good show, but I don't like the like epic montage epilogue that we get at the end. I think it was. I did
Yeah.
not like that at all.
That's
Like I said, I loved it.
it's a very common thing though for like the last episode of
Yeah.
an anime.
I liked it literally up until that. Like that was the one part I was like,
Really?
yeah, I don't. Yeah,
I'm
like
gonna call that a win from Dale then, because not liking a montage is a human thing. So
like.
well,
Did you not
plus,
like it?
I mean-
Did you not like how they wrapped up the story?
You got to remember that part was probably animated before they had an idea whether or not they were going to have.
A new season,
You know,
probably.
So they wanted to give a little more context for how things would have wrapped up.
Yeah, like they kind of were like Thorfinn goes home. I guess I don't know. They look for Vinland. I don't know. Thorkel and Canute do stuff. I don't know, but it's
Thorkel and
No.
Canute's Great Adventure.
yeah. There you go. Excellent.
I haven't watched the preview that you mentioned Safs did, so I don't know if
I
they're
haven't seen it
starting
either.
off at the point after the montage, or if they're just going to roll things back and go forward. So I don't know.
I'd assume they roll things back and go forward. That's generally how it works. Like they'll do the montage at the end and be like, da, da, da. And it's like, but wait, that didn't quite happen yet. Forget about it. Sorry, don't worry. Made a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
that is a common thing that happens when a situation like this arises. So I don't know. Like they might go either way. Like it kind of depends on how they want to, because as we mentioned, this was from the actual writer. So,
Yes, it was his decision.
and I don't know if the manga skips ahead or not, because we know for a fact this show has skipped large chunks of time before. So
Mm-hmm.
skipping chunks of time again would not be out of the
Yeah.
out of the realm of possibility here.
Yeah, I mean, it has only been like 24 weeks since the show started airing, and they've gone through like at least 10 years of content. That's a bit of a time skip, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
So what would you guys give the overall show? Would you recommend it?
Oh yeah.
Start to
Easy.
finish?
Yeah,
I like it a
this
lot.
retains my definitely a recommend. If you're looking for a really good anime with a great story and some interesting characters, this is it.
Can we also talk about how the animation was super on point for the final episode?
I mean,
It was fine. It was good. The whole episode, the whole season had good
only-
animation.
caveat I would say is that the show isn't on Netflix or Crunchyroll; it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
So it's a little harder to watch, but it's definitely out there. Amazon isn't too hard to get, and most because they offer like the free trial thing, and you can run through the whole thing during that period of time. So
Mhm.
Yeah. There you go.
Mhm.
We're so good at this. Look at that. We stayed completely on topic the entire time.
Did we though?
I mean,
for this one,
Kinda.
yeah,
We didn't do bad.
yeah, for both of the shows
Look,
that we've
It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't.
Alright.
We're bad at structuring, and that's okay. It happens. You know. We still do stuff, and that's what matters. Maybe that's what matters. But yeah. So what the fuck is this show that you guys are
Alright.
like
Okay,
plotting
so Dale
about?
wants to talk about the show that I would seriously recommend for Shark, because I know Shark is actually going to go watch it.
Is it? Is
Drake,
it? Real quick. Is this
I'm
a
gonna
show?
horrify Drake with it as well.
Is this a show that
so-
we're going to be talking about? Maybe doing week by week.
I would find the show interesting to do week by week after
think it'd be
having watched the first episode, because it is literally a show about reviewing things.
What's it
Because
called?
and that's what.
What are they reviewing, Copper?
So the show in English is called Interspecies Reviewers.
Oh no.
Okay. There's two reasons for this. One,
Oh,
they're
no.
reviewing different species, and two, the people doing it are from different
Yeah.
species.
Yeah.
So there are three main characters and rotating reviewers as well.
Oh my
and they review a
god.
couple things during the episode.
Those
So
jiggle
Dale's looking at
physics.
images. That's why you hear him saying, "Oh my god."
Yeah.
So the premise of the show is, we have some reviewers who go around they live in a fantasy world, so there's a ton of different species, and these two guys go around and review different brothels. During the first episode, they meet the third reviewer, which is basically Dale, and they kind of drag him unwilling to do reviews with them.
Oh, god damn it.
Who knew that they wrote an anime about us?
If you are looking at just pure images, the show looks awful. However, it is very much a comedy.
Okay.
It is censored, so there's nothing awful on screen, Dale.
Are
You don't
you
have to worry about that.
No.
Make it
I am
sound
sure
like I'm
because there
some.
is- I am sure because there's
Uh-huh.
also an uncensored version, which is also available.
Yes.
So,
I'm watching the
whichever one you
uncensored
want to
version.
watch,
I'm watching the
censored
uncensored version.
an uncensored version.
Uh-huh.
But basically, yeah, the premise is that these three people, they go around to different brothels and give reviews. They actually give reviews. It's like what their personal experience was, what they liked, and then a score out of 10. And each time they're also joined by like one or two other reviewers who are from different species as well. And all the reviews are based upon what a member of that species would like. So you have a human and an elf. Those are your two main guys.
Uh-huh.
Your third guy, which is called Krim, which is basically Dale, is an angel. I'm not kidding. A pure, unsullied angel until he meets the other two characters.
God damn it.
Who quickly sullied said angel.
Oh my!
Like-
Why did they make a show about our lives? Dale was a pure sweet baby boy before we corrupted him with our hentai.
Listen, you guys always make it sound like I'm some sort of like prude who doesn't like tits, but it's just like
Okay.
I like tits
Okay,
in
put this
situations
in
where
context.
it makes sense.
Compared to me and Comfy, you are a prude. Compared to me, so is Comfy.
True. You are
Yeah.
just you are like
wait, why is Copper throwing me under the bus right now?
Copper is
What did
not a pervert.
What
He
did
is a
I ever do?
Copper's
Nothing.
not a
I'm not saying you're a prude. I'm not saying Dale is a prude. But in context, if you're looking at each of us individually, I am much more of a pervert than either of you.
Yeah, Copper is
Yes.
a provert. Let's be real.
Oh.
Like, we're on 18th Street. But like,
Oh, I'm not.
I'm not
Yeah,
going to put
that
it in
is
context. I'm not going to give you a lot of
Comfy.
context.
How many
but
times do we have to tell you not to do it on 8? Or you got to be 18 plus for this?
I'm
Like,
sorry. I was playing Monster Hunter.
I so was I
Comfy's on teen,
earlier,
so I'm not
and
gonna
now
go
we're
into a
on
bunch of stuff,
18.
Suffice to say, if we're ever all on 18 plus, we can discuss that. And trust me, Dale would be horrified.
Oh no.
You know, I'm glad I'm not on
So would-
18 plus. Actually,
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure Comfy would be horrified too.
No.
I'm sure I would. I don't know, man. I have a pretty weak stomach when it comes to those sorts of shenanigans.
Look, I spent 10 years in the largest port city on the eastern seaboard of my country. Okay? If you know anything about what port cities are like,
It's a bunch of lonely sailors.
What
And,
do you do with the drunken
then-
sailor?
Put him
to
in a
top that off,
brothel
it is
with
also the largest
I don't know.
college and university city in eastern Canada as well.
Copper fucks.
So, and I used to live in a co-ed dorm for a number of years that was not co-ed by floor, but co-ed by room. So it would be boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. So I have stories and tales.
Oh man, I'm sure you do.
To do one that is teen kind of appropriate because Comfy's here. At one point,
Please cover my
there
virginity.
was a bulletin put out to our dorm for the male members to stop self-servicing in the showers because they are clogging the draining system.
Please,
Because
God,
that stuff
no.
is not water solvent.
Nice.
So yeah,
Thanks.
there's interesting
Thanks,
things.
gentlemen, for ruining showers.
Don't yell at me. I didn't do it. Yell
By
at
the way,
Copper.
guys,
Thanks.
don't trick off.
Thanks,
Direct like
Copper.
the
It's
self-servicing.
not all right. Don't do it.
Ugh.
People try to
yeah,
get
so-
clean in there.
So this show is nothing like that. Just to put your fears at end, it's literally a review show. It's them going around and reviewing different species at different brothels, and they have the main, like, most of the animation is basically these guys arguing with each other about why certain things are better than others. Like the show opens, and Comfy has seen a clip of this where
Mhm.
the human has just is leaving a brothel where it was he was sleeping with an elf, which you don't get to see. You just get to see him leaving, and the elf is super old because she's an elf. She's like
300
500 years. 500. So she's like
500.
500 years old, and his buddy comes out And he's like, "Oh my god, did you sleep with that?" Like, not calling it hers. Like, he's like that. He's like, "What?" She's like 500 years old. That's disgusting. And then this old woman comes up who's like in her 50s, who's human, and he starts like going all over her. And he's like, "This, like, what are you talking about?" He's like, so the human's like, "Oh, that's nasty." And the elf's like, "What are you talking about? She's only 58. When do you ever get to sleep with someone who's 58? She's so great." And he's like, "Dude, no."
It's a great time.
God damn it.
Good. That sounds fun, right? Right, Dale?
And
Like,
then another
I'll watch
portion of the
it.
episode
I'll
is,
watch
yeah,
it.
it isn't actually a good, like, it's a funny show that is,
Like if you were,
it's adult humor, but
sure.
it's funny, right? So
You
this
guys
is
make
100%
it sound
not a
like
kid
I
show.
hate sex jokes. I don't. I just think they need to make sense in the context in which they're given. A lot of the context.
This show is
A
going to
lot
have
of
a lot of sex
context
jokes
in
that
which-
make a lot of context.
Listen, a lot of shit
And
where
plot.
they throw over sexualized bullshit in, especially anime, has zero context and makes no sense other than to be cringy to me, and I don't like it. What was the
Hey,
fucking?
you know what? I
was
agree
the
with you,
what was
Dale.
the sexual terrorist show? That's a sentence. That made sense. It was overly sexualized, and I actually didn't hate the show because it made sense and it was funny.
Yes, so yeah, the show he's talking about, I forget the name as well.
I
But,
know it's on my Hulu and it will never go away.
basically, the concept of that show is that it takes place in Japan. So Japan passes decency laws that are insanely strict, to the point where your thoughts are monitored. And basically, the main character and the main female character form a terrorist group to spread dirty images and dirty thoughts back throughout the society, so that people can
That's the
stop
Love
being so
Nectar
repressed.
show. Oh my! I just remembered that's the
Yes.
Love
No,
Nectar
that was not the
show.
Love
Also, the
Nectar show.
show-
Oh wait, yes it was.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Yeah.
That is the Love
Okay.
Nectar show.
So the head of the student council, who's
No,
a woman,
we don't need to go into it.
No, we don't.
falls
Com-
super hard for the main character, and
So
some weird shit happens.
Comfy's on Teen Stream still. Good job.
As I said, some weird. I wasn't gonna go into. I'm just saying.
I know.
Here's the character falls for the main character. Some weird shit occurs.
Can confirm Comfy is ruining fun right now.
I'm sorry. Do
But yeah,
you
so
want to talk about it?
I'm kidding.
I would
kidding.
say we give interspecies reviewers a shot, just
Sasha!
because it
You bitch.
going by the first episode, it's going to be hilarious. Plus, of the fact that it is basically set up the same way as us, where it's two people who are super into something and they are super into it, and one person who's just kind of getting dragged along, going, "Oh my god."
So, so do you want to try to do that for our weekly show? Do you want?
I would
should
love to
we,
do it. I would love to see about doing it for the weekly show and seeing how it goes.
Well, so here's the question: is next week should we do another? Oh, I just got a Xenojiva gem.
Nice.
Next week should we do another like roundup where we get a couple of shows and watch the first episode to see what we want to do for this season?
I would say so, just to give us a basis of things.
Yeah.
I know the first episode of this is out. Comfy, you had said you were looking at a couple things as well. What else is out that you looked at?
Let me pull it up. I did actually just
Because
finish my hunt, so I can do that.
For those who are wondering, the new season is starting. Well, it started the week before last week, so stuff's kind of trickling out. So not everything has started yet. So we're just going to see what's out there that we can follow along every week with. And then, hopefully we come across another gem like, Vinland Saga. We have Zephs who missed it. I am definitely putting forward Interspecies Reviewers as probably a gem this season because it looks like it's going to be hilarious comedy.
Now both my dogs are whining.
For those who are wondering, Dale's wife is away. This is the first time she's been away for
Go lay
much ever.
down.
So the dogs are like, "Hey, we're alone. What the hell?" Oh, I know, Zephs. I know you were hoping to be here to rant. Suffice to say, we weren't super happy with the ending.
Go
we
go
can-
away, dog. Go lay
We
down.
understand why they did it. It's just, what are you gonna do, right?
Okay.
But we're looking at things, Zephs, for what we can follow along next season. So far, we have one recommendation from me, and Comfy has some other ones he's going to talk about. So Yeah. So yeah, if you're wanting to look it up, so Drake, if you want to take a look at it, Cherry maybe as well, Cephs. The show I recommended is called Interspecies Reviewers. That's the English name. I will drop the Japanese name for you as well, because I can't pronounce it because Japanese. So that's the Japanese name. Yeah. The first episode is quite funny. So I'm curious to see where it goes.
God damn it.
Because it might be extremely amusing, to say the least.
Or terrible.
Copper. I really want to do Madoka Magica, but we can't because he hasn't seen the first.
I know what happens in the first one, but I haven't watched as well. So
well, the first one's also like a bookend. I don't know how the new one's gonna work.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There are apparently some recurring characters, so I would say you do have to see the first one.
But so the problem is that the first one, it gets really weird towards the end and splits into a bunch of different timelines. And I don't know, like, considering how that one ended, I think this is just picking one timeline that's gonna have like nothing to do with the actual original show, besides like the two characters that that's reintroducing.
Yeah, I
don't know.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like I wish we could do that because I think that'd be really good because it would fill out the palette really well.
Now that is like Madoka is a show we can look at for the first 3 episodes because we haven't never covered it.
Yes, but that'll be that's one that we've talked about, but we just haven't done it yet.
Yes.
I'm also chat. We're looking at my anime list.
It's a very interesting take on the magical girl formula, which is an interesting thing to look at.
Hey, where was it? I just saw it. Where did it go? It's cute girls doing cute things. Hey, ya camp.
Oh yeah, the camping show.
That's a really it's a continuation, but it's a super fun, cute. Hey, let's go camping. Cute girls doing cute things. Someone described the Darwin Project to me as Pokemon Go but Fight Club, and that makes me want to watch it now, even though I know it's going to be a garbage show. I don't remember what else on the this season's really light, unfortunately.
Ooh, quintuplet season 2 coming out. Nice.
Yes. Like the spring 2020 is supposed to be like packed. Yeah, spring 2020 is packed.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I click on it and it's already new season of ReZero, new season of Kaguya, new season of Food Wars, new season of Yu-Gi-Oh, new season of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
I'm not surprised by that.
New Trigger show next season.
Yu-Gi-Oh is still a thing?
Dude, Yu-Gi-Oh has been a thing since
Yu-Gi-Oh's
forever.
never actually slowed down.
I just didn't know it ever never
I mean, it slowed down in North America, but not so much. So
okay.
After the original Yu-Gi-Oh series ended in the US, they just made another one in Japan, and then they kept going. They made like Yu-Gi-Oh, Yu-Gi-Oh 5, Yu-Gi-Oh GX, Yu-Gi-Oh V. I don't know. This one is
they were all popular in Japan.
This is Yu-Gi-Oh 7s, so a new TV anime series for the 20th anniversary of the franchise. So literally 20 years of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yep.
Hot damn.
Never ends.
It's time to don't stop making Yu-Gi-Oh. That. Yeah.
Oh, this is the other one. There is a supernatural mystery that just started as well.
Was that the one with the lizard man?
No, actually, it's not. That one I haven't seen start yet.
We vaguely talked about a lizard man.
We should watch Oda Cinnamon Nobunaga.
So this one, I'm just going to drop the title here for you, Dale. There it is there. So this one, just a synopsis, is at the young age of 11, Kotoko was abducted by yokai, which are Japanese ghosts and spirits, for 2 weeks and asked to become their god of wisdom, a mediator between the spirit and human worlds, to which she quickly agreed, but at the cost of her right eye and left leg. Now, 6 years later, whenever yokai wish for their problems to be solved, they make their way to Kotoko for consultation. Meanwhile, our main male character, Koro, a 22-year-old university student, has just broken up with his girlfriend after he fled alone when the two encountered a kappa. Kappa is a Japanese.
No.
Is a Japanese
No
demon.
more kappas.
It doesn't go into farther than that. It's just they came across a demon, left. Seeing as this as her chance to become closer with him, Kodako immediately makes her move, hoping to get married to him one day. However, she quickly realized there is something more to him. With this knowledge, she asks for his help in solving the various issues presented by the supernatural, all the while wishing her newfound partner will eventually reciprocate her feelings. So this is a comedy mystery supernatural show.
Is it also
Yes,
one of those shows where the anime girl's like, I fucking love this dude, and he's just like, I'm a fucking moron. Please stop.
No,
that.
it does not look like that at all.
You
Yeah,
sure?
it doesn't look like that at all. It looks like she has an interest in him, but we don't know why. And there's something weird going on with that he's hiding that she's going to try to figure out.
Yes.
And there's going to be a lot of demons by the look of it. It looks to be very much more of a mature show, and not in the same way of the other show I recommended, which is also mature but very, very comedy-esque. This is very more in the like actual mature bloody region.
Yes.
What else is coming out here? There is the Nobunaga dog show, of course.
Which I think that'd be a fun one to just put in like for this week.
To watch the first episode of, yeah. Let's see what else is here. If it's out, I think that one is out actually. So I would say we watch that one and the other one.
Which one's that one and the other one? I say so. Let's watch.
So the Nobunaga one, plus the Spirit Detective show.
Cool. And then
plus,
Ishizoku reviewers.
Yeah, reviewers, and we should probably do one more. Is there another one there, Comfy?
Well, so I don't really see.
I'm fine.
Anything that's sticking out.
We don't have to go. We don't have to really hunt for like a fourth if we don't.
Yeah, we can
find
go for
anything.
3.
I don't care.
It also depends on what's available
three's
now too.
fine.
Right? Like it's the other.
Like if there, if you guys were having a harder time, like what do we pick? We have 5 that we might do. We could just fucking watch 5.
It's more of not everything has started yet. Is the thing.
Yeah.
That's the other issue. There's some interesting stuff coming out this year for sure, though. Looking at stuff.
Well, like next season, I really want to try BNA.
No way. Okay, Comfy, I'm going to give you.
Show Trigger's making.
This is a sentence, so Comfy, I'm going to drop this in your chat.
Probably a good idea.
Second, because it's one of those shows where it's a sentence as the title. Apparently, this is coming out.
Like the manga about turning into a hot tub and not being into it or anything.
Yeah, so this is the sentence show, Comfy. Have you ever watched this?
Okay, so let's really quick. Let's try to get a translation to this one because I don't speak that much Japanese.
Yeah, it's a long one.
Yahari no Sun Soon Love Comedy wa Machin Getoru.
I've heard about this.
Nailed
I haven't watched it, but I've heard about it.
Flawless pronunciation.
It's been a while since season 2 came out. Season 3 is coming out this year, which is going to be amazing because I love that show. It also looks like ReZero season 2 is coming out.
ReZero season 2 is next season, which is going to be cool.
More like
they're currently releasing redone versions where
they are. I've been actually trying to keep up with that. No, so they've just been releasing the director's cut, which is the version that they preferred, but they couldn't cut it for TV. The most differences that have really happened so far is there's been a little bit of animation update for some like effects things. And there's been some certain scenes, they linger on stuff a little bit longer. They wait it out. They try to like grab more attention. It's not as, I say fast paced, like the show isn't really fast paced cutting, but it slows it down a little more to give you more time to digest things.
Gotcha.
that's pretty much what they're going for with it. But there's not much more to it than that. If you've seen ReZero, you don't need to watch the director's cut.
No.
I
Unless
did.
Unless you're doing like a rewatch before this show comes back out.
If you are doing a rewatch, then just do the director's cut because it'd be fun. But
Yeah.
like I looked into it so you don't have to.
That sounds great.
What, not needing
Just
to look
looking
into things?
because you did it for me. Love it.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm the anime guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the anime boy.
I'm the begrudging anime boy. Like I've slowly started finding myself making more and more anime references as I stream, and I fucking hate it.
That's the best thing. You're becoming defiled.
Yeah, I die inside every time. Thank you.
I die inside all the time anyways, so now making anime jokes makes my life easier.
Ah.
You too can die inside like me. All you need is, I don't know, your favorite flavor of insect glaive and a very, very high ledge.
And a deep internal sadness.
Oh, very, very deep internal sadness. I can hook you up with those. I actually have some to spare.
But you have
before
the
that
spare
happens, I do need to say, 1 second.
you know,
Yeet. Thank you.
he threw himself off of a cliff.
I jumped
in
off a
video
cliff.
game.
I
In
jumped off
video
a
game.
very big cliff. Hey,
Yeah.
we've discussed all our anime things. Now can we talk about Monster Hunter?
Do you want to do Star Wars shit at the end? I guess. Yeah, probably do Star Wars shit at the
Yeah,
end.
we can talk about
Yeah,
Star Wars and-
there is less to go over, I think, video game wise.
Yeah. Then
Yeah.
Than there is
absolutely.
for Star Wars. So we have two main things that I think came out for video games. One is Iceborne, which we'll get to in a second. The other was we had a new drop in Destiny.
We've
How-
definitely had a content drop.
We did.
Did
Now, it wasn't a
we?
huge drop. It was very interesting lore-wise,
Yeah, I like the lore.
but and apparently the gun is very fun in PvP and stuff like
yeah,
that.
I used it a very, very little amount. I could actually
It's
see.
pretty dumb.
I would actually use it quite a bit, maybe.
And apparently there is either a bug or a hidden perk with the gun as well.
Uh-oh.
Whereas if you time the discharge of the laser perfectly, rather than reloading the gun at the end of firing the laser, it reloads the gun first. So your ammo count goes up to 30. And when you're done shooting the laser, you have a full 15 and don't need to reload.
Oh, yeah, that's probably
Yeah.
a bug.
People think it's a bug, but there's also a unique animation with it, and I can tell you right
Yes.
now, they wouldn't be making a unique animation for no reason.
Yeah,
'cause
there's
that-
a bigger, brighter laser animation with it. So,
Oh, is it a
doesn't-
catalyst, possibly?
It doesn't feel like a bug to me. It feels like either it's the catalyst proccing wrongly
Early.
when it's not supposed to because you don't have the catalyst for it yet because it's not out.
Yeah.
Or it is literally just a hidden perk for perfect timing because it is not easy to pull off, like at all. It is very difficult to do, especially if you're getting shot at.
Right.
So it could just be a hidden perk because we know exotics do have hidden perks. This could just be this one's where they're doing something very different with the hidden perk rather than giving a special, extra standard perk where it gives you
Mhm.
a special, it reloads itself first so you don't have to do a reload animation, which is
Yeah.
neat. Like
And
not really
Mechanier's Trick
game-breaking.
Sleeves got a big buff because now they have two exotics that they work with. So that's my joke. That's it. That's the joke I have this week. Mechanier's Trick Sleeves got a buff.
I didn't see anything of it because I haven't
How
really
did he
looked
even
at
get a
any
buff?
notes or stuff like that. But I saw TV mention something about them doing a change to Monte Carlo.
Interesting.
So I don't know what's with that. So that might be a thing that's coming out as well.
This week on
I don't know why
Destiny,
they would,
nerds
though.
talk
Money
about
doesn't really feel
Destiny.
broken.
I think it's because people are pairing it with throwing hammers right now.
Yeah, no,
speaking of,
it broke the
so
it broke
aside
hammers.
from them removing Word God's
Wormhouse.
Caress, both first and second year, because they figured out this.
They
the first
originally
year
did not remove the first year
First
version
year,
of Lord God.
so they went back and did that. Yes, I think it was yesterday or the day before. Glad posted a video of him fighting Riven alone.
Solo
Not
hammer.
using them, using hammers. Where
Double
he's
one dip,
still
one shotty.
he's still able to kill Riven using the hammers, just the throwing hammer, by using tractor cannon and the 1-2 punch shotgun. He tractor cans it twice, shotguns it, throws a hammer, takes off a chunk, does that 2 more times, or till it's about maybe like it's got like 60% of its health left. Throws a hammer. The hammer takes off 40% of Riven's health by itself.
I also want to point out that he was using 2 1-2 punch shotties to get double 1-2 punch.
Yeah. So it was bop, bop, tractor, throw a hammer.
It was tractor, bop, bop, hammer.
It
Tractor,
was
bop, bop, hammer.
really dumb. Like, it just went away. Like, Riven's health just went away. And he posted that, and the first comment I saw was damage. And it's just a gif of someone face falling. Like, she's like, oh, god damn it.
Yeah, Worm God's got a little out of hand there.
It's literally just Glad doing Glad things again. He's like, stop this, please.
Yeah.
But and someone else commented, Bungie's should just realize by now they just need to nerf Glad.
But yeah, the mission for the sidearm, the dialogue was great. I'm on the moon. It's made of cheese.
Yes. The lore stuff was very good. The quest was very short.
The quest is very, very short. They basically were just going.
It's not a quest. It's not a quest.
It's
so it was basically so Ruin is basically a free exotic for everybody who has the pass, which is fine. But rather than just give you the exotic with nothing else to do with it, they gave us some lore to go with it that is voice acted out, which is really awesome of them to do. And that's probably the better way of looking at it, rather than looking at it as I think really short bad quest.
Listen, if you told me in Destiny Year 1 that we would be able to have a 5-minute dialogue between Osiris, Saint 14, and Shaxx, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, where Shaxx sings a song.
But the thing is,
the dialogue where Shaxx sings a song.
I love the dialogue. I thought it was all great. Was I disappointed because I expected a quest? Yes.
Yeah, it was a calendar thing. It was one of their big things. Like, this is what's coming in Destiny. Look at this calendar. Yeah. Devil's Ruin exotic quests. So, it's like right there.
What I think they need to do what I think they need to do for these things, because I like what they did with Devil's Ruin. I like that story element bit.
Yeah, I did too.
Great.
On something that would have just been a free gun otherwise. Because we have now, they do give away free exotics. Like, we got if you have the season pass, you got the what's the name of it? The arc gun, the scout, for free, right? They're just like, here you go. This is what you get. And otherwise you get it like level 35. There's nothing associated with it. Just here's a free gun. So I like what they did with Runes instead, where it's here's a free gun with some acted out lore, which is really nice.
Yes.
But I think they need to, on the calendar, differentiate between that type of drop versus the other drop we're getting later this month, which actually has a very long quest associated with it. Which I won't spoil. There's a quest line that's already been data mined. It's out there.
Everything about that fusion rifle has been leaked, and it's so disappointing.
But it is very long. It's a very long quest with a lot of steps. So if you're looking for something meatier for quest wise, that's it. So I think they need to do something on the calendar that shows this one is going to be a lore drop weapon, where we get some interesting lore with some voice acting, versus there's a quest weapon, right? Even if it's just a color code in the little box,
sure,
that would be fine, right? Just so people aren't disappointed like they were here, because no one's disappointed in the gun. The gun's very fun. It's great to use. It's very interesting. It's like no other exotic in the game, which is awesome. And the lore was great. Everybody loved that. It's just people were expecting a quest.
Like a longer quest.
Yeah, people were expecting a quest rather than here's some lore that we read to you instead.
And like I feel like if I knew that's what was coming, I would have been I wouldn't have had any issues whatsoever. Yeah, but it's just because everybody thought there was going to be a content drop the size of previous exotic quests, such as Leviathan's Breath, where you have to actually go do stuff.
Yeah, like it takes you an hour or 2 hours to go and get, right?
Yeah, or like Thorn, where it took you like 3 hours of grinding and doing quests. And that was awesome. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I also love this. This is great, but like nobody knew.
They need to show people the difference between the two, because I want them to do both. I like the lore in this. Like, the lore in this drop was amazing. Like, if you're a lore nerd or like the lore at all, or like the characters, you will love the lore in this.
Yes,
but they need to make sure people have their expectations set properly by the infographic they put out.
Yeah, I think as long as they can manage expectations, it's totally fine. But that's the problem is they need to be
Yes.
doing that.
They
well.
didn't do that here, but this is also the first time they've done this, so I understand the misstep here, and I don't expect them to repeat it. The misstep, that is, because Bungie has, now that they've been free from Activision, every time they've done something that's a little misstepped, they fixed it. Like this season's pass, for example, is a lot better than last season's pass. Like miles better.
Much better.
And the activities feel better this season than they did last season as well. It's they're improving all the time based on direct feedback rather than having to wait and run stuff through, another party, which is great. It's great for us as players. It's great for them as a company because it's a better feedback loop, right? They don't have to go get approval for things they want to fix.
It's a shorter feedback loop.
Yeah. And on something like this, shorter is better. Like
100%.
less hands, less people in the kitchen, always better product. So
Yeah.
I'm happy there. I from knowing what the quest is for the next weapon later on this month, I am going to be happy with that. It's a longer quest, so that'll be fun to run through. And then the week after that, we get more stuff for the Sundial, where I can finally go and get my title that I've been waiting for.
Man, yeah, waiting for that one. I've been working on Harbinger, and that's been killer. I don't like it. I was talking to Nelstar last night, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't have any reason to do anything except for like maybe titles, and I don't want to do those." And I was like, "Yeah, it's not fun."
I just want the Savior one because I want to get the pin.
I want the pin. I haven't bought any of the pins. I'll buy the Savior pin.
I really like you. Comfy Saint 14 is my favorite Destiny character, so I'm super happy with this season. I'm super happy with the pin and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I'm a Titan main. I've been a Titan main since beta.
See, even then, I've been a Hunter main always, but I've always just been so fascinated by Saint 14 as a character.
Yeah, I love the characterization they've been giving him this season. It's great. Like it's so good. What he's like as a character.
I agree.
Oh, he's everything I wanted him to be and more.
The other big thing we had come out was Iceborne.
It's a Monster Hunter
I'm
World.
definitely not playing right now.
Monster Hunter World came out with the DLC this Tuesday, which we've all been playing. It's been the DLC was it Thursday?
Was it Thursday?
Maybe it was Thursday.
Anyway,
the DLC came out on consoles like 4 months ago or so when we finally
came
got
out
the
in
PC
September
launch.
on consoles, but it just launched on PC this past week.
Yeah, so we finally get to play it, and you are right, it was Thursday.
They added a crap ton to this game. Holy shit!
It's a lot. It's so much. I'm so happy.
For those who are wondering, well, what do you mean? Well, they added there's a giant new zone. There apparently is another zone after done the main story as well, just like there is in the base game. There are 27 new large monsters, 4 new small monsters, and they are going to be adding more monsters over time as well, just like they did last time for free. There are new armor sets based on all those monsters. There's a whole new ranking, which is Master Rank, which used to be your G rank from previous Monster Hunter games. In addition to that, all the weapons have at least one new move. Some, like the Switch Axe, got a massive overhaul, so they're way better.
I would say massive. They added a couple.
They changed up the Switch Axe a huge ton.
I mean, I've played a lot of the Switch Axe. Like they've added some new combos to it, sure, but it still plays mostly the same. They added a new mechanic to it.
By changing it up, I mean they've changed all the base damage numbers, Dale. So mechanically, like number-wise, it is the second highest DPS weapon in the game, only beaten out by dual blades, and that's if you don't have any buffs or are not using certain combos with the Switch Axe. At that point, it becomes the #1 DPS weapon, which is a huge jump for the Switch Axe because it used to be low tier.
Got it.
So it's a giant jump. So it got the biggest change of overall.
Yeah, that is
added
true.
in
I do know.
new mechanic called the Clutch Claw, which is awesome.
It's very fun.
Which is also super great for flying monsters. It gives people who like weapons that normally can't reach flying monsters all that easier a way to interact with them better, which is great.
so much more viability to all of the just non-ranged weapons and
Mhm.
non-insect glaive sword and shield weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Because I specifically play insect glaive because I like being able to deal with flying monsters when they're being dicks.
Yep.
And you
they added in a new tier jewels, which is level 9 jewels, can come in. So they have better stats overall, like so they'll give you more than one level. In addition, there are level 9 jewels that have 2 skills on them, not just one, which is incredible because it allows for some really interesting builds depending on what skills you get on your gems. Because you can double up in slots, which is amazing. You've got set pieces now that have like 3 gem slots on them instead of just 2.
Mm-hmm.
There are layered armors in the game for most of the armor sets, which is amazing. So it allows you to play dress up a lot better without having to compromise on what you have skill wise and slots. Which is great.
There a is there layered armor for the Radabon set? I really actually like the Radabon set, but there's not even a high rank set for it.
So I'm kind of curious.
I think there is, Comfy. Actually, I'm pretty sure there is. There's also pendants, which is something new they added to the game, which are weapon decorations. So yeah, so there's a crap ton of content, crap ton of monsters, new zones to explore, new stuff for your weapons, new way weapons work. Like it's a massive like DLC. Like it's so big, it basically feels like they were building a sequel. It just went, let's release this DLC instead.
Which is funny because like that's I don't know how much you know about Hollow Knight, but they were building a DLC for Hollow Knight and decided that, or they were building a DLC for Hollow Knight and decided they had enough content, they should just make another game.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And here Capcom's like, we'll just give them a DLC instead, which is awesome. And it adds a lot of, longevity to the game. They also added almost as many hairstyles to the game, in case you're someone who likes to change out your hairstyles, as the base game had. So that's a big buff as well in terms of content.
Sasha, please.
It's amazing how much they added, but I'm also not super surprised because this is Capcom's best-selling game ever. Like of anything they've ever produced. Like this is the most popular and units moved game they've ever made, which is saying a lot because Capcom is a old and big company.
Hey, what other notorious games has Capcom made?
Street Fighter. That's the one a lot of people think of.
Wow, are you saying that Marvel vs. Capcom was made by Capcom?
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. I couldn't believe that if you told me.
Sorry for my Borkin Popo. She's very much being a bitch.
You should stop working.
If you've never tried Monster Hunter, the base game is on Game Pass. So
that would be,
way to try it out.
Xbox Game Pass.
It is on sale on Steam, I believe, as well.
For like $20?
Apparently, you can buy the base game. Sasha.
Apparently you can get the base game and
the DLC for $50.
Iceborne, for $50, which is like
the DLC is $40 a lot.
Yeah, so it drops. It gives you basically here's the DLC, pay an extra $10 to get the whole, which is cool. If you like games that are like grindy, but a good type of grind, it's not like grinding for no reason. It's a fun, interesting grind that have a lot of content, and you enjoy boss fights. This is probably a game you're going to enjoy.
This is Boss Fight, the video game, where this is an example. This is not how all of my fights go. Okay, I'm not gonna say that I'm a pro and get all of them done in less than 30 minutes. I'm gonna that's also a joke. They usually do get done in less than that. But you go on hunts that last for you get a 50-minute time limit and you use the entire 50 minutes.
Yeah.
The game is a time. It is awesome.
When I fought, I know, for example, that Comfy had an issue running with into a monster called a Barioth.
Oh, I'll tll that story in a second.
When I ended up fighting that thing, I beat it, on my first go, but I had like less than 5 minutes left in the clock. Like that's how long the fight was.
Versus when myself and 2 other people did it, we did also only have 5 minutes left on the clock. But we had a much harder time because we just weren't equipped for it. And it was brutal.
Yeah. For those wondering, the game also does scale. So you have your base level stuff for single player. It'll scale up to 2-player and it'll scale up to 4. So anything above 2, it scales to what the damage would be for 4, because it expects you to be able to output the damage at that amount. Now, if you're worried about, well, I don't have anybody to play with, it has this system called an SOS system in it, what allows you to open up your game to invite other people in. In addition, you can respond to SOSs and join other people who are doing the same missions of you or doing other missions that you're not quite doing yourself yet because you wanted help with, so you can just join them and get that help and get the mission done.
Yeah. I have a lot of times where I will need to do a hunt that no one else will ever need to do. So I'll need to hunt, like, I don't know, nobody kills Kuliaku ever. It's worthless. But I had to kill like 5 of them, and it just became so many issues, and nobody wanted to do it with me, so I just had to go on an adventure and do it myself. And I went to the matchmaking SOS, found a quest that somebody else posted that I liked. It was only 2 minutes in. Went in, slayed it, left.
GG's.
It's and you'll get like people will thank you, and you have these things called guild cards in the game where it allows you to like keep a record of everybody you've met, and you have like a little pet that follows you around, helps you out with stuff. For every person you interact with who's their guild card you
get to name the pet. It's a little tiny cat called a palico. Because he's
not only name, you get to design your cat.
Yeah, you get to design it.
Decide what color it is, its name.
Like, mine is a goddamn abomination. Have you seen him?
You can change its tail, the ears, a bunch of stuff like that. Because the game is also on PC now, there's also a bunch of mods for the game. Now, the Iceborne expansion did make most of the mods obsolete because it alters the code. But they've already started going back through and fixing all the mods. So there's a bunch of
you have to go outside?
Hairstyles you can add to the game from mods. You can change your cat pet into a dog instead if you want to run with a dog. So there's going to be a bunch of stuff like that as well. So there's a huge amount of stuff for this game, base game alone, and there's a crap ton of mods for the game that are going to be coming out very shortly because it has a huge modding community, which is great.
Sasha, please. I may or may not be doing.
And then on top of
every single monster is also like really unique.
Yes.
There are a couple that are like reskins, so it's like, hey, wow, this whatever roly dude that explodes looks just like the other roly dude made of bones, but slightly different. It's like, there are a couple like that, but they behave completely differently when you fight them.
Yeah, they have like a couple attacks that are standard for the type of monster. So you have types such as Brute, Wyvern, Fang, and those different monsters who fall in those categories have certain attacks they will all do, but they also have a bunch of independent attacks, even if they look like reskin, which is interesting. And they have different stats, so one will have more health or do more damage. This one will do like bleed effects or poison you. This one has stuns. So there's a bunch of stuff that really go down on, and then there's resistances, there's different stats effects that you can apply to monsters. There's a huge number of stuff, and that's just the base game story. On top of that, you then have what they call end game and then late end game, which is tougher, harder monsters, and then basically extreme versions of those monsters where they're super difficult to deal with. So there's a huge amount of content. And that's, again, on top of the fact that there's a giant modding community that adds content, as well as a huge support from the actual publisher who adds a bunch of free content and free events to the game throughout the year. So
there is a lot of stuff. And if you even do like the vanilla version without the Iceborne, there's DLC monsters that you can fight that I still haven't even fought yet because I still haven't fought Devil Joe.
I have not either, and I want to do that.
We should definitely aim to do that because we're both ready.
I was doing a hunt for an Otogiron earlier before we started the podcast, and in that hunt alone, we ran into the moose. Like this is in the Rotting Vale. We ran into the moose in the Rotting Vale, ran into a Tigrex in the Rotting Vale, and we ran into a savage pickle. So a tempered version of the pickle.
Nice. That's cool.
All the while trying to kill this one other monster. Like so, like these other boss monsters were coming in and fighting our monster, as well as attacking us while we were trying to fight this boss. So there's a good level of challenge to this game.
Yeah, and the thing is too, even if you want to just chill out too, you can just not play the higher difficulties and then you're done.
Yeah.
So like for example, the other night I was not at home, just had my laptop, wanted to hang out, but I didn't want to play on like I didn't want to do something super hardcore on my laptop, which isn't going to run at 60 frames. It's not going to run everything perfectly. So I just did what every smart person will do, and I just went and was like, hey, let's do all the easy stuff.
Yeah, I like the other day I knocked out a bunch of optional stuff, right,
Yeah.
to improve, like, you know.
I mean, that's what I'm doing right now. There's
Like,
a
so
lot of options to do.
I upgraded a couple of mantles because that's a thing in the expansion as well. You can upgrade your mantles, so they can slot gems into them. So I did a couple of those.
Yeah, I have a lot of optional stuff to do as well. Side quests.
I did some things to like upgrade my harvest box and upgrade what I can get from the canteen, stuff like that. So, so there's some easier, like chill quests you can go out and do, and gather stuff and improve your game for when you are wanting to do the harder stuff. You can kind of stock up on stuff that you can take with you, which is cool. And Comfy, for some reason, is hunting different little small animals with his trap.
Okay, it's a quest, man. I didn't I didn't choose this life. I need to find some scavantulas.
Why do you have so many cats with you right now? You just been on one.
Because I'm the king of pussy, dude.
God damn it. He scream copper or comfy.
Was that good?
Was it though?
Are you
good. Yeah.
Was it?
No, I just ran into a bunch of cats and they decided to send a cat with me, so now I have an extra cat.
Yeah, you can run into other people's cats, so he probably just ran into someone's. Now he's another cat. He ran into another species of cats, actually, that's out in the wild. We'll join you as well.
They're quite wild. Now I'm just riding a pig around. This is truly the greatest game. Can I get off of this pig? I actually don't want to be here anymore. Thank you. I don't know why that's a thing. I don't like it. I can't control him. He's too strong. But this game is great. I love Monster Hunter so much. I never played any of them into World, and I've played so much of this World.
Actually.
Oh.
Yeah, World makes a lot of changes from the older Monster Hunter games. Like Monster Hunter is a series that's been around over a decade.
It's been around for a while. It was on PlayStation 2 originally.
Yeah, it's been over a decade since the series has been around. There's a bunch on PSP and stuff like that as well.
There's a lot on the 3DS and
so
that's where they really started selling, was the 3DS.
Yeah, it's a series that has a huge pedigree to it, and when they put out World, they decided to make some changes that are quality of life changes. So
There's
it
so
makes
many
the
quality
game
of life changes.
much more appealing to a wider audience without removing what is essential for a Monster Hunter game, which was great.
A lot of the stuff that they did, they made it easier to sharpen, they made it easier to collect stuff, they made it easier to craft stuff.
They made it so that you don't have to, like, you can mine stuff like with a pickaxe to gather ore, but they made it so that you don't break your pickaxe, that it doesn't take up a slot in your, like, what items you can take with you, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, so they did a lot of just trying to make it not beat your face into it, because it's fun to have cool mechanics and all that, but it is not great to, I don't know, overdo it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the reasons I modded The Witcher so much, is because there's a lot of mechanics in that game that you just don't need.
Yes. Yeah, there's things like, you have a carrying capacity. Why? You can things like that. Like you can't fast travel in The Witcher unless you go to certain points.
Unless you're at a fast travel point, and
And The Witcher is a single player game, so that like stuff like that doesn't make sense in it really.
Yeah, it's not like I'm trying to play the game and be like, oh, I want super easy mode. It's like, I don't know, maybe I don't want to swap swords every 3 fights because mine's
it's so
breaking
stupid.
and I don't have resource kits for them because you don't get them until later in the game and I don't have the money for it. And I don't know what things I need to pick up because I don't know what I need to craft. So I'm going to leave this here. But now it turns out that this was the most valuable item in the entire world. So it's
Right.
just kind of making it a little bit easier.
Sure.
Wow, I've completed so many bounties. I got giant sirloin. Capture a sushi fish. All right. So I guess now we got to really start talking about things.
Yes. So this is Star Wars shit. So if you have not seen The Mandalorian or the new Star Wars movie, you might want to, we're going to be talking about it. The Mandalorian is a Disney Plus original show, which is fantastic. I know I'm not the only one here who thinks so.
Which one? What are we talking about first?
Mandalorian.
Mandalorian? Oh, it was great. Oh, it was great.
So
oh,
good.
it was great.
Such a good payoff for that show.
Yes.
So
I was a little worried there.
is-
I mean, I wouldn't say worried, but there was a couple episodes, like 6 and 7, or not 6 and 7, 5 and 6. I was kind of like, okay, I get it.
Yeah,
It's filler.
a
It was
couple
filler.
slower
It happens.
episodes, which is okay. Like you can't have a show ride the high the whole time.
No.
Plus, it makes sense to have a couple slower episodes before the end, just so that when you get to those final 2 episodes, there's this giant high. Right, it makes the high even higher because things are a bit slower the last 2 episodes. So it's a massive payoff though. So that final episode is insanely good.
Yeah, it was really, I don't know, it was really good. It was pretty dark. I did really like how the Mandalorian though is able to use a jetpack and a blade. I don't know. I'm trying to put words together and I just can't figure it out. What am I thinking? Dark blade, dark blade, dark.
I don't know, man.
I don't know what I'm getting
I
at.
don't know.
Crazy. Wild. The dark blade was there. That was super cool.
Yeah, that kind of blew my mind. Actually,
Right at the end, like
yes,
That-
very
I
good.
didn't- I did not think that was happening.
Nope, me neither.
So right at the end of the episode, when you think everything's over, turns out, the bad guy from episode 7 and 8 survived. Cool. He cuts his way out of his crashed spaceship using the dark saber.
Which a lot. If you aren't unfamiliar with like extended lore of Star Wars, it's like a very ancient lightsaber used by Mandalore years. Like
Mandalore the
fucking-
Great?
Like
So
God
the dark
knows
saber
how long ago.
was the lightsaber of the first Mandalorian Jedi.
Yes.
A lot of Mandalorians have never been Jedi. He was the first to ever become one.
He's not
they're
the
actually-
only one, is he?
He's not the only one. He was the first. But it's very rare a Mandalorian becomes a Jedi because, traditionally speaking, the 2 groups are enemies.
From my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
From a lot of point of views, the Jedi are evil. Let's be real.
So-
they kind of suck.
The
They
Jedi never
did
got
fuck
along with the Mandalorians
so much
because
shit
the
up.
Mandalorians for a long time were very expansionist as a culture and like to conquer planets, which the Jedi, being the Jedi, are like, that's wrong. You've got to stop doing that. So they were always in conflict.
Did the Jedi say that, or did Revan say, "Hey guys, stop that"? And the Jedi were like, "No," and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna do it anyways." And the Jedi were like, "Well, I guess we have to now."
It was before Revan. Before Revan, when the Jedi first encountered the Mandalorians, they were like, "Stop that." They have like thousands of years of warring history between the 2 groups. That's why I say when they're traditional enemies, they've been enemies a long time.
Yeah.
And so the first Mandalorian to ever become a Jedi creates a very, very different form of lightsaber than your standard one, and becomes known as the Darksaber because it has a black blade.
Yes, it is the only known black-bladed lightsaber, and it is also every other lightsaber in existence is very warm and uses heat. This is
Yes.
actually cold.
Cold, yes.
Interesting. I didn't know that actually.
In addition,
that's
that
cool.
Jedi later in his life left the Jedi Order and became the Mandalore to the Mandalorian people. So he became the leader of all Mandalorians
Yes.
later on in his life. And when he died, the Jedi were allowed to come and collect his lightsaber, and they enshrined his lightsaber, which is something they do for really great Jedi. Now, he was, by all accounts and purposes, a very, very good Jedi as well.
Yes.
He never had problems with the dark side or anything like that. So
he didn't get sent home or sent to the principal's office because he was getting real angry all of a sudden.
Yeah, he left to better serve his culture, which is why the Jedi were super cool with him leaving.
Yeah.
And then honored him still when he died.
Yeah.
So later on, in thousands of years later, the Darksaber is stolen
From the Jedi.
from the Jedi by a splinter group of Mandalorians. And then,
That was Death Watch.
yes, Death Watch. It is then recovered in, is it Rebels?
So what happens is Death Watch was a group that was basically trying to bring back the old super war-y ways of Mandalorians, because
Yes.
Mandalorians had started being peaceful and normal like the rest of society, and they were like, nah, we need to be a warrior people. We're gonna start fights.
Yeah, they held to the ancient traditions of the Mandalorians. So they didn't take off their helmets. They all practiced and worship weaponry and war. Whereas the general populace on Mandalore had put a lot of that stuff behind them.
Yes.
To better fit in as a society and a culture to the universe around them, which had massively changed. They're like, we can't be these people anymore. It's bringing hardship to our people. It's bringing difficulties for us and everybody around us. So we need to improve ourselves as a culture, which is what they started doing, and became very, very pacifist as a result.
Yeah.
So Death Watch is that's wrong, and
Yeah.
they
And
mad
so
about it.
basically, Death Watch took the Darksaber and was basically like, I have, or one of the, who was the head of Death Watch at this time? I forget who it was. I forget his name. I know what he looks like. He basically was like, I have the Darksaber, therefore I am Mandalore now, and you have to listen to me.
Now-
That didn't go too well for him.
For those wondering, Mandalore, again, as we mentioned, is the leader of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, it's more of like a
traditionally-
title.
Yes.
It is a title. So you usually have Mandalore followed by
The great, the ultimate,
something like that.
impotent, depending on who you are.
So traditionally, the title is passed down through a rite of combat, and the winner becoming the new Mandalore. And anybody within the Mandalorian culture could challenge the Mandalore for that title. If they won, they would win. They became Mandalore and basically got all that he had. The other way to become Mandalore was if the previous Mandalore died, if you became in possession of his mask, of his helmet, you would be considered Mandalore until someone replaced you by trial of combat. So the Mandalorian helmet, the helmet of Mandalore, I think is lost by this point. So what the leader of Death Watch is doing is saying, hey, I have this other relic from the Mandalore, which is the Dark Blade, the Darksaber. So this makes me the rightful ruler of Mandalorians. He then ends up getting in a duel with what's his face?
Maul.
Darth Maul. And
Darth
losing.
Maul fights for the right to be Mandalore, which is great.
So he ends up losing. Darth Maul wins, takes the Darksaber, becomes technically the Mandalore as far as these guys are concerned. Darth Maul
He just starts running a dictatorship on Mandalore, including all of the Mandalorian people who are really trying to get out of that way of life.
He ends up getting confronted and defeated as well, loses the Darksaber.
I think he loses to Obi-Wan for the third time.
It's a three-way fight between Maul, Obi-Wan, and the person there too.
You're right. I forgot.
And then but they take the Darksaber and they give it to another Mandalorian, and she's the last person, I'm pretty sure it's a woman, who we ever see with it.
It shows up in Rebels, but I don't know where.
Yes, she has it in Rebels, and then during Rebels,
Okay.
like she goes off into space and takes
Okay.
the Darksaber with her, and that's the last time we see it. Now, it
But
was,
then, so what we do know is that
but that is also pre-purge of Mandalore, right?
yes,
So-
so that's pre-purge of Mandalore, and we know that Moff Gideon led the purge of Mandalore. Moff Gideon
Yes.
being the bad guy in the Mandalorian, or being the big bad, the eternal bad, the Gus Fring.
The main bad guy in the Mandalorian that we see in episodes 7 and 8. And he has the Darksaber, which means he got
Dogs.
somewhere during the purge of Mandalore, which is a huge deal because the person who had it before is a very important character.
Yes.
So now we're curious about how he
Did
acquired
he
it,
kill her?
what happened to them. Like, is she dead, or did she just,
Is
or
she in
was it just-
prison somewhere?
or was it just lost during a battle? What did she actually have it that he took
Yeah.
it from her, or did she die and pass it on to someone else before this? Because
Or did
there's
she
also
put it up
you know,
as a
like-
relic and not even use it, and it was just
Like-
taken from a temple somewhere?
yeah, because there's also a giant period of time here. Like there's a
It's like
a
20
One
large number.
sec, one sec.
It's like 20 years between,
Yeah, so-
almost 30.
yeah. So
'cause this is-
there's
Because this is at the height of the Clone Wars when all of this Mandalore stuff is happening, and this is happening 5 years post Empire.
Yeah.
So
there's a time skip, and it's a huge deal. Like that blade is a huge deal for Mandalorian culture, which we see is in shambles at this point because of the purge of Mandalore.
yeah,
We also discovered during these episodes, the last 2 episodes in The Mandalorian, that all the Mandalorians who are on this planet, save our main character and the Smith, are basically dead
I don't know
because
what
the
the
moth killed them.
fuck my dogs are up to. They're
yeah.
just being butts.
So
Did
we
you
also get
hear
to see
the
we also get to
theory
see-
that she is Mandalore?
that
Yes.
she might be the Mandalore.
Yeah.
Um,
Might be
heard that.
Mandalore.
Now,
she might be.
did you guys talk about who had the saber at the end of Rebels? Was it Bo-Katan? Was that the name?
Yeah, it's Bo-Katan who has
Yeah.
it. We did.
Yeah, I didn't watch Rebels, so
One
I
of
haven't watched
the-
it yet.
One of the best things from these 2 episodes, though, is seeing the Smith go hardcore on some stormtroopers.
Oh man, she like
That
straight
was
up
so
smashes the helmet.
badass. Like you
Yeah,
see
she
the
hits one guy with
ships
a helmet,
flying.
like-
It's so,
These are like helmets that are like blaster resistant. She hits this guy so hard with a hammer, his helmet explodes.
it's
Yeah,
it's-
it just
Kills him instantly.
that-
it just,
shatters
it
like
just shatters.
glass.
It's insane.
It's very satisfying.
is very
Also, fun fact
satisfying.
about this, the final episode, they didn't have enough budget for stormtrooper costumes.
Correct.
So
they
they
called,
called
out
up
the
the-
local 501st
Yeah, and the 501st is a cosplay group that does
charity.
they do a lot of charity stuff, and they do a lot of Star Wars cosplay. They all build their own trooper outfits and stuff. And so they basically went, "Hey, anybody in the 501st with an actual like stormtrooper outfit,
We
have
need
a
your help.
we have a pretty cool proposition for you."
It's like, we need your help. We need some extras who have their own stormtrooper armor. Is anybody interested in doing this? And a few dozen of them showed up.
Well, listen, I guarantee you they have been waiting for that moment for their entire
God, yes.
lives.
That
Like,
is the,
holy crap.
the
I-
biggest call for Star Wars nerds is like, hey,
It's the
do
biggest
you
call.
want to be in a Star Wars?
Well, it's not only even that, it's you imagine you dedicated years of your life to learning this craft and learning how to build like the armor and be a bigger part of the community and stuff. And then somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I want to use the thing you created in an actual canon Star Wars show."
Mhm.
Like that to me, being in it is amazing, but having something that you made in it, like that's so cool.
We
Just the
also got
fact-
introduced to one of the most hated people on the internet, which is the speeder bikes trooper who kept punching Baby Yoda in the head.
I don't know, man. I actually did really like the red versus blue scene.
So that was
It was a
interesting
very
thing.
good scene, but man, they
We also got to see the assassin droid whipping through town at max speed with Baby Yoda, murdering everything around him, which is cool.
Mhm.
So yeah, these episodes are massive. Like they're so good. Like it's
a great
hard
time.
yeah, it's you really have to see it. If you like Star Wars at all, you will love the show. It is back to the classic roots of Star Wars, which is Western sci-fi, like mixed with like elements from old samurai movies. Like
Yeah,
that's it. Like that they really stuck to like the the original pull points for what this show like pulled from for its inspiration, and added quite a bit to the universe in characterization and showing different things. We are introduced to the fact that we are probably going to finally find out where Yoda's species comes from eventually, which is
probably going to be
I don't know.
soon.
Well,
ever will.
he was so at the during these episodes, the Mandalorian, our main character, one, we learn his name, two, we get to see his face for the only time during the whole series, which is a very short period of time. We also learn that he is now charged officially from his culture with finding either the parents of the child, which is the official name for the baby Yoda, or so basically finding his parents or species and delivering him back to them, or raising him until he's 18 or age of majority, basically, until he's an adult. So one of two things we're going to see. We're either going to see him finding Yoda's species, which we have never done in Star Wars. We don't even know what their name is.
Yes, there's only been 3 of their species that have been shown, including the child and Yoda.
We are officially going to see a baby Yoda Mandalorian, which would mean a Mandalorian Yoda in full armor. Which either of these outcomes I'm fine with.
Same.
So, like he even directly questions, like, I should put the kid through the child. She's like, no, he'd die. Like, so
he's too young. Like, listen, he might be older than you, but he's too young.
Yeah, like he's obviously still a baby. Like even though he's old because their species lives. So, there's some very interesting points about where the show is going to go to in the future, lore-wise, as well as the fact of how well done this show was through all of its directors and its writers. I just want more. Like,
give me more Taika Waititi.
I would love to see Favreau do like a series of movies, like for Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. I think Dave Filoni is actually going to be.
Or what's the other guy's name? Waititi? Is Waititi the other name?
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, I'd love to see him do some as well.
Dude, oh my god. I guarantee you that he is the only reason that the scout troopers in the beginning, he's the only reason that exists.
Oh, that was hilarious. Probably. I love that
I guarantee it.
The dialogue between those two was hilarious.
I like
just want to see it.
Them trying to shoot the can.
You just want to see it. Yeah. Yes.
It's so good.
Such bad shots, like they can't hit this can. Then one guy looks at his gun and shakes it up to his head. It's like, he's like, what is wrong with you? Because he can't accept, it's me. Because neither of them can shoot. It's such a good scene. Like, and that's outside of the whole punching Yoda thing.
Oh my god, you don't punch a baby Yoda.
Yeah, that part kind of sucked, but the rest of that scene was so good.
Guy's like, I just want to see it. Like, show me. And he's like, no, stop asking. Like, do you want to get us murdered? Like, like he just killed all the other stormtroopers because one guy was, like, what is wrong with you? Yeah, so it's super well directed. It's super well shot. It's very interesting lore-wise, story-wise. It's a massive must-watch if you're a fan of Star Wars in any capacity.
Yeah.
Or if you're a fan of like sci-fi Western stuff, you'll still enjoy this. Like, just even if you've never watched Star Wars stuff before.
Yeah. For like stuff like the Clone Wars and Rebels, that's like if you're really into it, I'd say watch those.
Yeah.
Because they are very kid friendly, at the start at least. And it takes a while for them to get to the serious content that's really, really good. But when it does get there, it's pretty great.
And
this is just so good.
The other thing that is very polarizing is episode 9.
Oh man, What did you guys think about episode 9?
Now, I've seen it twice.
I have as well.
Because I went originally by myself because the girlfriend was away because holidays, she was visiting family, and because I work on the internet, I didn't want anything spoiled for me, and I can't not work online because of the nature of my job. So I went and saw it by myself first, and then when she got back, we went and saw it together. So I like this movie. I think it's a good Star Wars movie. Does it have some issues in it? Yes, it's not perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect movie.
No.
But going by other Star Wars movies, this is better than the prequels, which is
far from the worst movie.
And it's better, in my opinion, than some of the original movies as well. Part of that is due to the fact that those original movies also had a lot of production issues with them in terms of writing and story, editing being done on the fly kind of thing, as well as just by the fact that they're old as shit.
You're wrong. Star Wars is perfect.
Like, those movies, bar, I think, 2 of them, I know, actually, no, might only be 1 of them, are older than me. And I'm not young. So, I'm of the generation where you grew up with this stuff. And I know some people who are older than me who, like, saw this stuff in the theaters. And there's a lot of polarizing issues with Star Wars in that regard, because you have a lot of people who grew up with that stuff, grew up with the expanded universe, even though a fuck time it doesn't make sense. And they're like, this is Star Wars. And then Disney came in and like, we're going to streamline stuff so it makes sense. And so we can actually move stuff forward and, you know, put together movies based in the past where it doesn't, you know, contradict itself. And there's a lot of fans who didn't agree with that. They're like, George Lucas should have been in charge of this stuff. Only he can do Star Wars. And,
no, man. Oh,
and in the meantime,
saying George Lucas should be in charge of everything, man. Remember the prequels?
Yeah, and in the meantime, he's the guy who gave us the. And part of the reason they're so bad in some places is because George Lucas had so much control over them.
He's very good at making the world. The world he made is amazing. His storytelling could use some help.
Not so great. He had a lot of help originally from both his wife and from his editor. Like
didn't his wife win an Oscar for New Hope, but he didn't?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Because the movie was literally saved in the editing room.
It was
before they were going through the editing. There was no reason for them to destroy the Death Star. They were just going to do it, and then they had to come up with a reason, and the reason was that they blew up Alderaan.
Yeah,
like that. It was that bad.
They didn't have a reason for that. Darth Vader was not originally Luke's dad. He was originally what is it? The slug guy.
Jabba the Hutt was a normal human being.
Was a human being with who's either an Irish or like a super thick Irish or Scottish accent who wore like a bunch of furs. It was very strange.
He wore like a fur vest, and he was pretty short too. Like he was like half a foot shorter than
short and huge. Like he was a really giant fat guy. Like it was weird. And these are fully shot things. Like these aren't like ideas.
You can find these clips on YouTube.
So things were weird. Like they didn't tell the actor for I think it was Vader that he wasn't actually going to be voicing the character. Like so they recorded and did all of the lines and then they dubbed over him.
Yeah. Like
there's so much stuff that went behind that scenes and stuff to change on that thing. So but yeah, 9's not a bad film. It wraps up.
There's one thing that really, really I just don't like, but other than that, I enjoyed it.
I think they wrap things up the best they can. Because I can't think of anything they could have done where what they've laid out beforehand, like what they could change to make things make more sense.
Yeah.
And they left a couple things open to interpretation on purpose as well, which is something they've directly said, such as what John Boyega wanted to say to Rey during the films.
Which we do have confirmation it wasn't him trying to say I love you.
Was it?
No, it was not.
It was him trying to say he's force sensitive, right?
That's
Correct.
that's the speculation, but we don't have.
It's not speculation. Abrams has come out and directly said yes, that's what he was going to say.
Oh, so Abrams did say like that. That's what it is. Okay,
Especially
that's good.
It came out during an interview and said, yeah, we wanted to leave it open for interpretation for people, but we were leading people towards the conclusion, which was very obvious in my estimation of the matter, that he was force sensitive, which is shown a few times during the film itself. Like he can feel when Ray's in trouble and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
because it's not because he loves Ray. Well, he does, but it's the same way you'd love a brother or a sister. Like Ray's family to him. Right?
Yeah.
That's what she is to him. It's just like Poe. Poe's like a brother to him. Like these
Not
are his
according to
family.
most people on the internet.
I know, but to him, these are his family now. Like brother and his sister, in the same way you'd love any brother or sister, and he wants the best for them. I mean, it's obvious Poe has feelings for one of his old crewmates that he used to run with. I saw some complaints where
Poe was a
people
drug
were like,
dealer, by the way.
yeah, I saw complaints. People like, oh, he's the son of like heroes from the rebellion, but he's a drug dealer. It's like, yeah, you have sons of like in the real world, you have parents who are doctors and lawyers who have kids who are drug dealers. Like that's a thing that happens. Like,
well, it's also like, hey, if you're being raised up into this, like, don't you want to be people like when they're younger are naturally rebellious, and if you're rebelling against the rebellion, what are you gonna do?
You're either going to go into the Imperial service, which he didn't, or you're going to go
because the Imperial service is aggressively bad. We all know this.
Yeah.
Like that's not a joke.
Or you might turn to say crime. And there's no saying like just because his parents were heroes in the rebellion doesn't mean his parents weren't in the drug trade or criminals to begin with themselves. Like the rebellion took any people who wanted to join into the rebellion. They didn't care where you were from. Like, so his family could have been spice runners for all we knew. Like,
yeah, it could have been like his uncle or something being like, hey Poe, I need extra money for death sticks.
Or he could have been, a spy all the way through and then fell on financially hard times where he needed to do something, so he started running spice, or he was doing it to gain contacts in the criminal underworld.
I was gonna say, or it could be a cover. Like there's
that's a super possible thing. Like that's a big cover, like to gain contacts in the underworld, so you can buy black market weapons and stuff like that, or information, so you can pass it on to the rebellion. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I know people were mad at that. I know people were mad at the Boyega thing. People are mad at him anyways because of the way he's memeing on the internet.
Oh, he's awesome. I love John Boyega so much. He's
just what he's doing to people is hilarious. And, if you haven't seen it, go look it up.
He doesn't care anymore, and it shows. It's so good.
He's like, I'm done. I can say what I want, bitches. And he's just making fun of the people who are upset that his character and Rey never got together, or who are like, well, you're just mad because she got together with Kylo. It's like, no, I don't care.
I think it's so weird. Okay, I think that Reylo is weird. I think that I think that it's because of the pacing of the movies.
It's a little of the pacing.
Well, because 7 and 8 really just feels like 7 and 7.5. And then 9 kind of like the moment you sit down in the chair to watch it, it starts and it's already moving at this breakneck speed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is also a Star Wars thing. So one thing to remember with Star Wars movies is that they always skip time in between movies. And the little blurb that runs beforehand kind of fills you in on what was going on. But the blurb is not super long. It's not super detailed. So there's always a bunch of stuff that happens between each movie that you never get all the details on. You never get super filled on. You never get to see directly, but it has big impact on the films.
Yeah.
And that's the case here. Now, the Kylo Ray thing, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. Like, when I saw the second movie, when we were leaving the theater, me and the girlfriend, I told her, so here's what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to end up, fighting her. He wants her to join the dark side because that's what's going on right now. He's going to end up turning to the good side, like getting redeemed, and it's going to end up dying for her, so to save her life.
Yeah.
And that's what we get, which is fine.
My problem with it is it feels
rushed because it
feels really well. So they set up the threads for it.
They do set up the fact that these two are these two are soulmates, which they keep mentioning, which people don't understand. That's what a duality in the Force is, but that's what it is. They're soulmates. They're connected through the Force on a level that is beyond the normal level of people.
Correct.
And They never really take the time to explain that though, because it's a Star Wars film, so they're kind of assuming you know Star Wars lore. Unfortunately, that's a bit of deep lore that a lot of people are not familiar with.
Including myself, I didn't know
So
Yeah.
they probably should have explained that a bit better, but they do mention of it, and so you can go through it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like I said, like just I guess because like 8 takes place so quickly after 7 does, and then it feels like there's been so much time between 8 and 9.
Yeah, there's a skip there. So like even like the introduction of the Emperor back into the universe is done during that skip period.
Which I like that's something that should have been done.
Yeah,
They should have given threads to that ahead of time. Don't get me wrong. I love that Palpatine got thrown back into that. I think that's hilarious and fun.
The Emperor's message should have been at the end of 8.
They should let's fix 8 really quick. They should have been in that room sending out every single possible signal saying we need help, and then they say we picked up a receiving signal and it's Palpatine. There you go.
That's where it should have been. It should have been an 8. Yeah, it should have been an 8. It would have added more depth to the ending of that movie, I think. Like, here's the bigger stake coming into the end of this movie, and then, you know, going forward, and like you have the rest of the events, then going forward to 9, it's really going through. Having that beat in between movies, I don't blame Abrams for. I don't. That's not his fault.
It's I think there was so much of a lack of communication on Disney's part in this entirety of happening, which
I also
it
think
happens, but it's, man.
If they wanted, because this is a long movie to begin with, but if they added like another hour to half an hour to like flesh out that first little bit where you'd have Palpatine's message being shown and the impact it actually has, like the terror it inspires. I think if that was at the start, it would have been a bit better. And they could have maybe used a bit of that time to go into the whole Reylo Kylo thing and explain what a duality of the Force is and how they're attracted to each other.
Yeah,
it's just, you know, she's fighting against it because he's basically evil, but not all the way through because he's just not a very good Sith. Like, one of the good clues to this, the fact that despite all the stuff he does not have Sith eyes. Like, he is not fully committed to the dark side of the Force.
No, not once.
So,
man,
he's always struggled very hard to seem like he's part of the dark side, but his basic nature is very much rooted in the light side. And I think they could have used a little more of that time had they added an hour to go with that, go into the Emperor's matches a bit, and I think it would have helped clear things up a little more for people. I don't mind the ending. There is one thing I will say that I think they left themselves open for going forward. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, we're not going to get the expanded universe stuff now. Luke's dead, and his bloodline's dead, and blah blah blah. He doesn't have his kids now, and all that yada." So, we have had previous before the Force being used and manipulated to create people, right?
Anakin.
It's a great, yes. I think we're going to have another Force baby.
I don't think we're going to continue with the story. I think we're done.
I think we're done for now. I think they left it open for an expanded universe bit where if they want to come back to it, we're going to have a Force baby from Rey and Kylo. And that's how they continue the Skywalker line if they ever want to go back to it. Or if they want to skip, 100 years in the future and they go, here's someone related to the Skywalkers, different last name, just like, the Skywalkers' future generations, they ended up having a different last name, but they're still related. That's how they're going to trace it back, saying that there was a Force baby produced here. It produced a famous Jedi person who helped reestablish the Order and blah, blah, blah. I think that's where it's going to come in. I think we're going to see Finn become a Jedi and probably a notable one. And, he's going to have a history there. But I don't think we're ever going to see that stuff on film. I think they're going to skip ahead a few 100 years or 100 years or like that to give us their next thing. And that's going to be after they go backwards in time a few 1,000 years to give us their next films. Because I think that's where they're going to set stuff.
We know where they're setting the next films.
Yes, which is back in time, which is cool.
About 400 years before the prequel trilogy.
Yes, which is great because there's a lot of stuff there that is open to explore. Like, I'm curious to see what they can do with that.
I love that
would
they said it's called the High Republic, and you're gonna figure it out.
Yeah. It also means they can go, here's 400 years ahead, like in the previous, so there's a ton of Jedis running around doing
Exactly.
that. Will be cool. Like, we're gonna have massive lightsaber battles. Like, how good would that be, right? Especially when you look at how good the lightsaber battles were in this last movie. Holy crap! I want to see that on a large scale.
Great.
Like, can you imagine like two armies, like an army of Sith and an army of Jedi, going at it with lightsabers?
Like, pretty dope.
So I didn't like. I liked the movie. Their stuff. Yeah, I wish they did a bit better. I think they did the best they could. I don't think they deserve the criticism saying it's like the worst movie, like Star Wars movie ever made. There's obviously worse Star Wars stuff that's out there.
Yes. Oh my God. The specials.
Yeah, the Christmas special for one. But even like the prequels, like I saw someone who went through and was rating movies, like, and they rated the Star Wars movies, who rated the prequels better than all of the new films, better than Solo, better than Rogue One. Rogue One is an insanely good movie. Like, they had
very good.
One of the original trilogy, and then one of the prequel movies. It was either the first or second prequel movie as well, not even the third one. And then like the other two original movies, and then the next two prequels before they rated any of the other ones. And that was their top movies. It's like, how did you put the prequels above everything else? Like,
Rogue One was so fucking good. Now, like, they went into this movie, I had very low expectations. The Last Jedi I thought was like one of the weakest Star Wars movies I've seen, and I did not like it very much at all. They did a lot with what they had, and I feel like I'm satisfied with it, but like, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, like, the Force just like kills people now. Like, just using the Force makes you die. It's like the fuck.
What are you talking about?
Like, when they use the Force between
when
that's always
when
been
like Kylo died.
Well, not only when Kylo died, just
okay. So Kylo, the reason he dies from using
takes
his life.
Now, what other movie has this been in where that was a thing?
It hasn't been in the movies. It's been in the expanded universe.
It's been in the expanded universe. It's been discussed, and it's been in the Mandalorian.
Okay, the Mandalorian. They introduced that.
Yeah, it is a thing, and it isn't even a thing in traditional expanded universe Star Wars stuff. So it's one of those things that Disney pulled from expanded universe into the canon universe now. That is hard to argue against because it's been a thing. Using the Force too much can kill you because it can put too much strain on your body, and that can kill you as a person. It's also been the way of certain dark side powers will kill you as well as light side powers. It's if you use too much power, it can cost you your life for what you're doing. It's how the Force, it's the price the Force basically takes from you for using it in that way. It's using only in certain things that does it. So Force healing when someone's either almost dead or dead, such as what Kylo does.
Well, so Force healing is a transfer of life force.
Yes. So he's already super injured, and so he takes what's left of his life and puts it into her.
Yeah, basically saying, I'm going to die, but you get to live because of that.
Yes. To the point where he doesn't die right away, but he then expires because he's super injured, right? He just got thrown down a giant, crevasse. So he saves her life, but at the cost of his own, which is a thing. Then you have Luke doing it because he basically went, I'm going to force project myself across the universe, which we know, which has been done before in the expanded universe, but only by super, super powerful beings. And it always has a massive cost on them physically. And Luke was old. And so that ended up costing his life because
Luke was old.
Doing anything. He was old.
That's a terrible fucking excuse for, you died because you're old and you used the Force.
Better than I was sad.
That's an actual thing, though. Like, that is an actual thing. If you're the older you get, the more stress you put on your body, the more likely that something is going to give, such as your heart.
It just felt like just a cop out from writers. It didn't feel good.
They were using something that is Star Wars lore,
Yeah.
and so it's hard to argue against it. And the reason you just don't see him, clutch his chest and keel over and die is because he, does the Jedi thing, which is enters the Force.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, it's there in lore. It's a lore thing they bring forward. But again, it's one of those things where it's a bit of deep lore that they don't goddamn well explain properly enough, and I can blame them for that.
Yeah.
Because
so this
it's
is
one of those things where they're pulling so far from deep lore, which is great. I love the fact they're pulling stuff in from deep lore. But for your average fan, they need to explain this stuff.
Yeah. So this is welcome to the Star Wars podcast. We've
Welcome
been
to the
very
Star Wars
this
cast.
has been very long episode.
This has been quite long.
We've also, for those who do keep up with this, you'll notice this is our first episode in a couple weeks because life
yes,
happens,
we did
we're
miss a
around the
couple
holidays and
things.
stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
things happened.
so
dang it!
there's a lot to cover.
I had cake that I was going to bring on because we need to celebrate that we had a birthday.
Wait, whose birthday? Was it your birthday?
The podcast.
No, his is in was it May 18th?
Wait, we had the podcast birthday?
It was pretty close. That's pretty close, Copper. Actually, I'm surprised.
Or was it
Also-
16th?
Damn it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
16th.
Copper got it. So the podcast, the first episode that we uploaded was January last year.
Oh,
So
Oh, congratulations!
so we've been doing
the very first uploaded episode was January 7th, 2019.
wow.
Nice.
So yeah, we've
Uh,
been doing the web show portion for quite a bit longer than a year, but we've actually finally got around to updating that.
Not too much longer, like a couple months or so.
We were doing it a couple months before you as well, so
Yeah, but that's like I think that adds up to like a total of 6 or 7 months total.
sure.
Thereabouts, yeah.
But I gave that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like that's our proper birthday. you know?
Man.
So officially for the podcast, it's our year's
Yeah.
anniversary. So happy anniversary to us. We're gonna
Yay,
deal with something awful.
we put up with Comfy for a whole year.
Wow.
I'm
now
sorry.
For those
Love you.
who do follow along with our shows, because we're looking at multiple shows first episode, we won't be doing 3 episodes of one show next week.
Right.
Instead, we're gonna go 1 episode from each show, so we can pick a show to follow along.
Let's
each
cover those real quick.
episode.
What are the 3 episodes we're going to watch, and we're going to pick one to start following on a weekly basis. Is the gist
Correct.
of it?
We have interspecies reviewers, which I have to show the
I am
girlfriend because she
super
would get
excited.
a kick out of that. We have the supernatural detective show, and what was the third one there, Comf?
We had Supernatural Detective. We had Ishizoku Reviewers, and then we had Oda Nobunaga Cinnamon Roll.
Yes, the Nobunaga Dog Show. It's where Nobunaga is reincarnated as a dog as our Japanese warlords, and we follow them.
Yay! Super fun. So yeah,
Very fun.
was that it? Are we good?
I think that's it.
All right,
think-
that was
I
a
think
long
we've actually
episode,
covered everything.
but we did it. Also,
Ladies
I
and gentlemen,
may
we
or may
got 'em.
not have been studying the blade a little bit. Longsword's fun.
I may or
discovered.
may not have been studying the blade.
I may not
So-
have done a couple longsword hunts, and it's really fun.
Shark introduced him to the super weebness that is the longsword.
I've been
it's-
wanting to find a new weapon to play with, and the longsword's fun, so I made a longsword or two. So yeah, all right. Thanks for listening
It
to the
also means
podcast.
directly if you're playing with Dale, you need to run free so he doesn't know.
What?
Yeah, you just got to play as far away from him as possible.
Yes.
The longsword has the biggest sweep of any weapon in the game.
Oh, so you're
it is
kind of a
great
dick for
solo
using it.
weapon.
Oh,
I think it's
It's also a
actually-
solo weapon,
It's the
It is-
top tier solo weapon right now, isn't it?
but it
Like,
is
Got it.
awful in group play unless the people you're playing with run flinch free, in which case, if they don't, you hit them and interrupt their combos. If they do, you
They're
can't
gonna be
interrupt
mad.
them.
See,
You just need
this
flinch
is-
free 1. Flinch
this
free
is
1, that's all
why-
you need.
This
So,
is
yeah.
why I play Insect Glaive, is because
You're up out of the way.
you
So
can't hurt
anyway,
me.
this week on we almost had a good transition, and then we ruined it again. Podcast. Where
We're not
can
allowed to have good
people?
transitions here. What are you talking about?
I mean, yeah. Where can people find each other on the internet? Comfy, where do you live?
If you're trying to find other people, I'd go for like a friend finder app, Tinder, Bumble, Plenty of Fish is another good one.
Yeah, got it.
But if you're looking specifically for me, I'm on Tinder. But if you're looking for me specifically on the internet, you can find me at Twitter at Comfimus, Instagram at Comfimus, and Mixer at Comfimus.
I don't know if I
Nice.
trust that he's on Tinder.
Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. You'll never know.
Maybe he's
Or-
too tender for
Of course, I
Tinder.
live in a different country. Plus, I don't have Tinder.
That's true. What's Tinder?
It's going to be a pretty cold
All
winter
right.
then.
No, it's gonna be a pretty warm winter. I have no reason to be on Tinder.
Copper, where are you on the internet? We're saving we're saving the transition.
We always do this to Dale. You can find me online at copperlinedesigns.com or Copperline Art or Copperline Designs on Instagram and Twitter, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
And that's everybody of importance. So let's close it off.
Yeah, that's it.
Hey, Dale, where can people find you?
You can find me on mixer.com/MrVengeance or _MrVengeance at Instagram and the Twitters, where we do all kinds of fun stuff. Thanks for listening, guys.
Hey, Dale, I have a really important question for you before we leave.
Okay.
You want to play Dungeons and Dragons?
I'd love to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Cool. I'll talk to you when we're done with the podcast.
Okay. Podcast over.